821. Secret method to feel the mysterious sky. Shang Tianxi paused, speaking with utmost mystery. This purple gourd can realistically recreate the scenes recorded in the green gourd. If there's enough energy, with my current abilities, I can only recreate a large lake about 100 miles in radius at most. If I advance to the Tao harmonization realm, I'm afraid creating 9 mountains with a single thought wouldn't be difficult. Shang Tianxi's tone was full of pride. Li Fan was indeed intrigued. Oh, are there any restrictions on the landscapes you manifest? How long can they exist? Can they be manifested in the Xuanwang small world? There are no constraints at all, Shang Tianxi said, holding his head high. Once manifested, they exist permanently, no different from real landscapes. Whether it's the Xuanwang main world, grotto heavens, or small worlds, I can use this ability. A companion from my open black lens bracket mountain and river pavilion close black lens bracket once had a whimsical idea. He said that if I used the manifestation technique inside the grotto heaven of a core formation cultivator, and the manifested scenery was larger than the cultivator's grotto heaven, it would instantly burst that core formation cultivator. Shang Tianxi said softly. Open Black Lens Bracket Mountain and River Pavilion Close Black Lens Bracket is a non-official organization within the Myriad Immortals Alliance. Its members are all exceptionally talented individuals from various states. There's a minimum entry requirement. Anyone who forms their core after the age of 20 can no longer join. The Mountain and River Pavilion doesn't have many members, only about 50. However, they help each other and are exceptionally united. As long as someone passes the entry assessment, regardless of their family background, they are all treated equally. Your companion has a good idea. He's a promising talent. If you get a chance, you can try to recruit him. Li Fan let out a low laugh. That's what I think too. Yan Fangzhou is already a soul transformation cultivator at a young age. If he could join us, he would definitely be a great help. Shang Tianxi nodded in agreement. Soul transformation. Li Fan's aura stagnated slightly, then instantly returned to normal. He chuckled strangely. You should first try to contact him more and probe his intentions. In the end, I'll make a move. Shang Tianxi was about to reply. A hurried warning sound suddenly came from the distant Taihua heavenly city. In an instant, it spread throughout the entire Taihua mountain range. The moment cultivators heard the warning sound, information naturally appeared in their minds. The Myriad Immortals Alliance is entering level of battle readiness from this moment on. Cultivators from the martial arts halls, garrison academies, and formation strategy halls of each state, quickly return to the heavenly city. Await orders. Set up checkpoints and patrols along the borders of each state, and strictly guard against villains. Li Fan smiled slightly. The Myriad Immortals Alliance has finally reacted. Shang Tianxi was vaguely worried. I don't know how the situation will develop. Don't worry. The 5 old ones will need some time to digest 9 Mountain State. And the Myriad Immortals Alliance will definitely not swallow this insult and will vow to take back 9 Mountain State. So for a long time to come, both sides will be fighting over 9 Mountain State. The possibility of war breaking out in other states is not high. Unless there are other special factors, Li Fan said, suddenly adding a sentence. Although Shang Tianxi was temporarily bewitched by Li Fan, he was still young and kind-hearted after all. Thinking that his actions might lead to the outbreak of a continuous and cruel battlefield, he felt a little uneasy for a moment. Li Fan didn't try to comfort him, but just let him wander in his own thoughts. If nothing unexpected happens, the 5 old ones should try to contact me soon according to the contact information in the jade slip I left behind. Don't rush. Let's whet their appetite first. Li Fan was thinking about how to drive a hard bargain and make a big profit in the upcoming transaction. But he suddenly felt a chill in his heart. His mind suddenly became alert. Strange, what is this feeling? Li Fan narrowed his eyes, examining himself. He instantly found the source of the anomaly in his mind. Secret technique, open black lens bracket exterminate profound close black lens bracket. This was a secret technique taught by Zhang Yushan of the Medicine King sect in the 115th lifetime, used in ancient times to identify remnants of the Profound Heaven sect. Because he wanted to collect as much secret information about the Profound Heaven sect as possible, Li Fan kept the exterminate profound secret technique activated at all times after leaving the Xuanwang world. Originally, he didn't have much hope for his luck. Unexpectedly, after randomly transferring with Shang Tianxi, he actually ran into one. Taishu Mountain. Li Fan's gaze swept around. One of the 10 Taihua peaks, which will mysteriously collapse not long after. From then on, it will be forgotten by the world and become the 9 Taihua peaks. There are actually remnants of the Profound Heaven sect here. Li Fan couldn't help but become interested. Although he already knew that a Dharma king of the Profound Heaven sect was sleeping underground in the Purple Firmament sect ruins. But Li Fan didn't plan to capture him for the time being. At least not yet. The Profound Heaven sect Dharma king, as one of the most powerful combat forces in the ancient Profound Heaven sect, was definitely not weaker than an ordinary Tao harmonization cultivator. Moreover, the Profound Heaven sect's techniques were treacherous and mysterious, which Li Fan had experienced in Zhao Shiji's dream. Even if he had been sleeping for thousands of years, he was probably not someone that the current Li Fan could deal with. What if he failed to capture him and was forced to revert to his original state? It's better to be cautious in everything. Anyway, he's there, he won't run away. When the Medicine King Cauldron returns, and Li Fan subdues Tao harmonization combat forces such as Lu San, maybe he'll try it then. Returning his thoughts to the present, Li Fan wandered around Taishu Mountain with the Exterminate Profound secret technique. The sensing range of this secret technique was not very precise. A full half-day passed, and he still couldn't find the source of the anomaly. "Senior, what are you looking for?" Shang Tianxi asked curiously. There seems to be some secret hidden in this Taishu Mountain. You help me find it too." Li Fan looked at Shang Tianxi, and an idea suddenly came to his mind. He immediately taught him the Exterminate Profound secret technique, but didn't tell him the specific function of the secret technique. After Shang Tianxi learned it, he also wandered and searched in the mountains with Li Fan. Fortunately, after the battle readiness alarm, people were panicking. Most cultivators returned to Taihua Heavenly City for safety. Otherwise, these two acting so suspiciously would definitely arouse suspicion. After searching for most of the day, Shang Tianxi's luck was still better than Li Fan's. He seemed to have discovered something and quickly transmitted a voice message, "Senior, this way." Li Fan's eyes flashed, and he quickly came to Shang Tianxi's side with Tianyang. "How many rings?" Li Fan asked. 2 rings. In the Profound Heaven sect, the higher the level, the more warning sounds the Exterminate Profound secret technique produces. The initial sensing of the Heavenly Profound mirror was 3 rings. These 2 rings, although not comparable to the Heavenly Profound mirror, were not small figures either. Interesting. Li Fan indeed felt the constant reminders from the Exterminate Profound secret technique. He looked around. This was a deep valley in the mountains, extremely quiet. It was as if no one had disturbed it for thousands of years. There's another chapter at 2 o'clock. 822. Spiritual Wood refines magic weapon, 7,000 monthly tickets plus more. I always feel like this place is a bit eerie, Shang Tianxi muttered softly. Li Fan also sensed that there seemed to be some unusual aura in this valley. Tianyang took a step forward and stood in front of him. Li Fan followed behind, carefully observing the surroundings. The bottom of the valley was located beneath 1,000 Zhonghai Mountain, where sunlight rarely reached throughout the year, and a miasma permeated the air. The flora and fauna that lived there were also different from those on Mount Taishu. It was as if they had suddenly arrived in another world. This miasma can actually interfere with divine sense. Walking in the valley, not only was it necessary to be cautious with each step and the line of sight was obstructed, but even divine sense could not survey its entirety. After walking forward for a while, Shang Tianxi suddenly stopped. The jingling sound is gone. He abruptly turned his head back. Li Fan pondered for a moment, and according to the warning sound of Zuzan, he delineated a rough area in the valley. However, it was only about 3 zhong in radius, and everything within it was clearly visible. But obviously, there were no suspicious remnants of the Zantian sect. Li Fan and Shang Tianxi exchanged a glance. Spiritual energy shot out, removing all the weeds and animals within this area. After wiping away a thick layer of silt, a smooth stone slab was revealed. This is. Li Fan touched the stone slab, finding it somewhat familiar. A moment later, he remembered. It wasn't in the Zanhuang world, but in the fallen immortal realm, in the Ning Yuan seizing longevity fruit scenario. He had seen a similar stone slab in the small house where Mr. Bai of Ning Yuan City lived. The Tao transformation stone shimmered with blue light, recalling the scene at that time. Li Fan's expression immediately became somewhat strange. These 2 stone slabs couldn't be said to be very similar. They could only be described as exactly the same. Extinction Immortal stone slab. Could it be? A guess welled up in Li Fan's heart. He ordered Tianyong to lift the stone slab, while he drifted away to avoid it. After Tianyong entered the underground secret chamber, wandered around, and returned, indicating that there was no danger. Li Fan then flew down. It was quite similar to the scene he had experienced in his memory. Within the not-so-large space, a faceless stone statue stood against the wall. Perhaps because of the isolation of the extinction immortal stone slab, a long brown wooden table in the middle, even after thousands of years, still looked the same as it did back then. Even in the air, a faint smell of blood could still be faintly detected. The wooden box on the corner of the table, the transparent tile jars placed along the wall, and the 28 beast seed corpses buried in the corner of the wall. All of these indicated that this was indeed the underground secret chamber of Mr. Bai's house that Li Fan had visited in the fallen immortal realm. Things that existed in the fallen immortal realm had inexplicably descended before his eyes. This discovery suddenly gave Li Fan a ridiculous feeling of time and space shifting and intersecting. Mount Taishu was once Ningyuan City. In that case, the Zishao sect is not far from here. Li Fan's eyes flickered, and he quickly compared the information according to Shi Menu's Ancient and Modern Mountains and Rivers examination. It doesn't match. After a moment, Li Fan frowned slightly. According to Zhao Shuyuan's intelligence in the previous life, the Zishao sect ruins are now located in the Linyang prefecture in the central part of the Myriad Immortals Alliance, which is very far from here. And back then, Ningyuan City was within the sphere of influence of the Zishao sect. It would not be more than 10,000 miles away. It seems that there is an error in Shi Menu's Mountains and Rivers examination. But he can't be blamed. Who would have thought that, even in the same prefecture, thousands of years later, they would be separated by the ends of the earth? It can't be explained by changes in mountains and rivers at all. It's as if someone deliberately cut and separated it. Li Fan already knew that the current Zanhuang realm was formed by the fusion of the Zanhuang main world and several other worlds. Now it seems that, in addition to fusion, there is also transformation. What exactly is the Heavenly Venerable of Dharma transmission intending to do? At the end of the 115th world, after being destroyed by a true immortal with one glance, that earth-shattering roar. Could it be that it was issued by the Dharma transmitter? It seems that the Zanhuang realm still has some special significance to him. His thoughts slowly calmed down. For the sake of caution, Li Fan ordered Tianyong to dig 3 feet deep in this place to ensure that nothing was left out. This faceless Zantian divine statue is entirely made of extinction immortal stone. It's quite valuable. But instead of selling it, it's better to use it as the face of the Myriad Worlds United Association. After all, in the whole world, maybe only this Zantian divine statue is left. Li Fan also thought of the Zantian sect Dharma king who was still sleeping under the Zishao sect. Maybe, it can have miraculous effects at that time. After putting away the statue, the induction of the Zuzan secret technique also returned to calm. Senior, what is that statue? It looks a bit creepy, Shang Tianxi couldn't help but ask. This involves the secrets of ancient times. The history is long, even before the rise of the Heavenly Venerable of Dharma transmission. You will know later. Li Fan showed a mysterious smile, saying half and hiding half, successfully arousing Shang Tianxi's interest. Before leaving, Li Fan had an idea and simply cut off the entire underground secret chamber and took it away, which made Shang Tianxi dumbfounded. Li Fan didn't care, and then Shang Tianxi brought it back to the spirit wood realm. On the way, when crossing the border of the state, he also encountered cultivator patrols. Fortunately, Li Fan had the only hand covers the sky secret technique and was not noticed. Little Shang, what do you think of this place? Standing on the top of the spirit tree, Li Fan asked Shang Tianxi beside him. It's good, but it's a bit ordinary. Shang Tianxi held back for a long time, and said such a word. Yes, it's almost an endless plain, with few beautiful mountains and rivers. It can't be compared with the Zanhuang realm, which is full of wonders. Therefore, next, I will rely on you. Li Fan said earnestly. Shang Tianxi was stunned. Obviously, he didn't understand the meaning of Li Fan's words. Isn't your purple gold gourd able to materialize the wonders of Zanhuang? In this spirit wood realm, materialize them one by one. Even if the scale is not as good as the original, it doesn't matter. In this small world, recreate Zanhuang. Think about it, when newcomers arrive. The first thing they see is the Zanhuang realm's Zhongshan. How shocking will this be? Li Fan whispered, and Shang Tianxi couldn't help but breathe rapidly. I'll go now. The upright young man immediately patted his chest and promised. Before materializing, you must do a good job of landscape orientation planning. The Treefolk Patriarch has lived for many years. If you have anything you are not sure about, you can consult her. Li Fan did not forget to instruct. Shang Tianxi nodded repeatedly. With little Shang's help, our Myriad Worlds United Association is becoming more and more like that. Quote, as long as the transaction with the Five Elders Association is completed and the materials are complete, we can officially start construction. Li Fan felt a little proud in his heart. I wonder if it is possible to refine this spirit wood realm into a portable treasure, and then replace it with anchor points and bind it to Wanjun. A solid and stable base, it seems, is quite important. Li Fan couldn't help but imagine. 823. Li Fan takes over. Open black lens bracket. It is true close black lens bracket that there are 10,000 good things, the only drawback being that each simulation only allows you to save one item. Cultivation and treasures cannot be obtained at the same time, which sometimes makes Li Fan feel a little conflicted. The appearance of this item replacement function has solved a major problem for Li Fan. However, anchor points are hard-earned. So far, he has not found a way to increase its charging progress. Therefore, whether to replace it or not must be carefully considered. However, I already have some ideas on how to add new anchor points. Just waiting for the opportunity to personally verify it. With Shang Tianxi's diligent work, the originally somewhat monotonous spirit wood world gradually revealed a myriad of sights. And with many Xuanwang wonders that should not have existed, coupled with the magnificent spirit tree in the center of the world, the whole world seems to be undergoing some kind of wonderful change. Li Fan, who has refined the heart of the spirit wood, is particularly sensitive to this. This is equivalent to plundering resources from outside the world to nourish the world itself. The original limit of the spirit wood world has already been set. But if there is a constant supply from the outside world, it may be able to produce the so-called open black lens bracket upgrade close black lens bracket. Li Fan carefully sensed whether there was any corresponding feedback cultivation from the open black lens bracket spirit wood world close black lens bracket within his body. Unfortunately, after much discernment, he still gained nothing. It is possible that this world has not yet completed its true transformation. It is also possible that the concept of open black lens bracket world close black lens bracket does not fall within the scope of the sitting immortal art. However, another source of feedback cultivation was clear and unmistakable. After careful inspection, Li Fan could vaguely see the figures of Su Yuqing and others who had left the realm. In the spiritual energy-depleted environment of the outer realm, within an artificially created cultivation domain, they can still successfully step into the chi-refining realm so quickly. Not bad. Li Fan nodded secretly. It seems that I need to speed things up on my side as well. After giving some instructions, Li Fan did not bring Tianyang, but returned to the Kongyan Sea alone. Compared to the tense atmosphere of the land, the Kongyan Sea has not changed much. The clouds of war have not yet spread here, and from time to time, you can still see cultivators rushing back and forth between the islands. Li Fan concealed his figure and quietly flew to the central western sea area of the Kongyan Sea, near an island called Haishuan. Looking from afar, a magnificent formation enveloped the island, faintly exuding a murderous intent that keeps strangers away. Open black lens bracket Great Wilderness 8 Extremes Dragon Extinction Formation close black lens bracket. It is said that 2 transformation god formation masters were hired with heavy money to create it together. Cultivators below the integration realm who stray into it will either die or be injured. Li Fan's eyes flickered. The terminus dissolution disk in his sea of consciousness emitted a faint white light, and in an instant, it had already cracked the seemingly unbreakable formation in front of him. Turning into an almost invisible black thread, Li Fan flew into the formation without causing the slightest sign of the formation's counterattack. Senior G, come on. From Haishuan Island, there were faint sounds of delicate moans and teasing from several women. What fragrant wine, and what fragrant beauties. And a middle-aged man's unrestrained and complacent laughter. Li Fan quietly came to the sky above the island's cave and looked down. The master of Haishuan Island, a golden core cultivator named Ji Shaoli, was embracing 2 twin female cultivators who looked exactly alike. He was watching 7 charming, plump and slender women twisting their graceful bodies below. Even from the perspective of Grand Preceptor Li, the appearance of the 9 female cultivators in this cave could be considered above average. Ji Shaoli, the biggest winner in the history of Kongyansi's open black lens bracket fixed fish close black lens bracket, an extremely lucky man envied by countless cultivators. With a foundation establishment cultivation, he already has 5 million in wealth. It's a pity that he indulged in pleasure afterwards and stopped at the golden core realm. Information about the other party flashed through Li Fan's mind instantly. In order to facilitate pleasure, he also built a large harem on this island. When he has nothing to do, he selects women with good looks from the mortals. After training them in cultivation, he enjoys them. In order to prevent outsiders from peeking and protect his own life, he also asked the transformation god formation master to arrange this open black lens bracket Great Wilderness 8 Extremes Dragon Extinction Formation close black lens bracket on the island. He is a person who knows how to enjoy life. It's a pity, with the advent of the red flame, he will eventually die. Li Fan shook his head slightly. Hiding in the sky to spy, waiting until the fierce battle ended and Ji Shaoli hugged the charming bodies of the female cultivators and fell into a deep sleep. Li Fan then descended to his side like a ghost, activating the binding insect divine power, controlling Ji Shaoli at the same time. The cloud water illusory dream art also enveloped the group of female cultivators present. When they wake up, they will only think that they have lost Ji Shaoli's favor and been expelled from the island. As for Ji Shaoli, Li Fan decided to replace him with a clone. Since this life is about sitting on the mountain to watch the tigers fight, it is not necessary to join the Myriad Immortals alliance. But without the Heaven Profound Mirror, it is very inconvenient to retrieve information or buy and sell items. So after thinking for a while, Li Fan came up with such a method. There are many reasons for choosing Ji Shaoli. This person is already quite wealthy, and can definitely be regarded as a local tycoon in Kongyansi, saving Li Fan the trouble of initial accumulation. Moreover, this Haishuan Island was originally one of the many garrison islands in the Kongyansi. However, later, the surrounding specialties were extinct, and it no longer had the value of garrisoning, so it was abandoned. After Ji Shaoli bought this island, he renovated it. Now the island has all the basic facilities. The teleportation array to Myriad Immortals Island, the Heaven Profound Little Mirror, etc. are all complete. Occupying this island can save a lot of effort. Before, I was worried that the Heaven Profound Mirror would monitor the surrounding environment and expose my secrets. So I have always been very cautious and almost never carried it with me. But now that I have the open black lens bracket terminus dissolution disk close black lens bracket to protect me, I don't need to worry about these. After Li Fan used the purple firmament soul viewing art to completely control the secrets in Ji Shaoli's mind. He also took the other party's blood essence and used the open black lens bracket profound true spirit transformation close black lens bracket to refine a clone that was completely identical to him. Then he made a stone coffin. Like in the 115th life with Zhou Qingong, he sealed him up. Li Fan also kindly used the cloud water illusory dream art to make him forever immersed in the joyful dream of indulging in pleasure. 3 days later, a group of female cultivators left sadly with some spirit stones. And Ji Shaoli has also been suppressed by Li Fan in the depths of the Kongyansi. Haishuan Island changed its owner silently, without the dissolution disk to break the formation and deceive the Heaven Profound Mirror. Without the profound true spirit transformation to steal the sky and change the sun. Even if you can break through the island, you can't easily do what I did, taking his original wealth for yourself. The clone Ji Shaoli checked the current contribution points he possessed. 6,780,000. It was actually much more than when he won the lottery that year. Well, judging from the details of the transaction records, this Ji Shaoli can be regarded as a talent. He knows how to make money with money, so he won't just sit and eat his fill. Compared to Taoist he is much stronger. 824. Yinyan Island shows his holiness. But you can't compare with me. The avatar, Ji Shaoli, with a glint in his eyes, drew upon his experiences from previous lives, and spent 500,000 contribution points in a series of quick transactions. He converted all his contribution points into resources that were about to rapidly appreciate in value over the coming period. It seems the fall of Nine Mountains Prefecture has indeed had some impact. The price trends of some commodities have shifted. Some have exploded ahead of schedule, while others have depreciated unexpectedly. The avatar operated on the celestial mystery mirror. A faint light isolated the celestial mystery mirror, preventing it from sensing anything outside. He spent another 1,000,000 contribution points, purchasing a large quantity of commonly used items. After storing them away, Li Fan quietly left Haizan Island. The avatar remained in place, but contacted He Zhenghao. That's right, this Ji Shaoli also knew He Zhenghao. After all, fellow Taoist he had a wide circle of friends, and they were all in the Kanyan Sea, so it was not surprising that they knew each other. However, they had only met a few times and their friendship was not deep. Fellow Taoist he, how have you been lately? Would you be willing to come to Haizan Island for a gathering? Not only to He Zhenghao. The avatar sent out banquet invitations to all the cultivators in his memory with whom he had some acquaintance. While pushing the Myriad Immortals Alliance and the Five Elders Association to fight each other, the research on Open Black Lens Bracket Foundation establishment through me Close Black Lens Bracket cannot be neglected. After all, this is what can truly shake the foundation of the transmission Dharma. After leaving Haizan Island, Li Fan's eyes flashed as he detoured straight to Yin Yin Island. After arriving, he did not act rashly. Instead, he carefully observed the island. He could vaguely hear the cries of mortals coming from the island. Clearly, he was still researching the mysteries of the immortal mortal miasma. The little dog with eyes flowing in its abdomen was running wildly around the island with a white rib bone in its mouth. Seeming very happy, Supreme Yin only succeeded in foundation establishment through me after anchoring for 3 years. It hasn't been long, Li Fan pondered, not daring to be careless, and transmitted his voice, as fellow Taoist Yin present. The scene of fighting Supreme Yin in the previous life was still vivid in his mind. Even with his nascent soul cultivation and countless mystical techniques, he was helpless against Supreme Yin. He ultimately had to use the chaos incantation to kill him. In this life, in order not to disturb the transmission Dharma, Li Fan would not easily use the chaos incantation. Moreover, he was still counting on the other party to deduce the Open Black Lens Bracket Foundation establishment through me Close Black Lens Bracket technique for him. It would be best if he could persuade him with words. I am, fellow Taoist, please come in. The stone gate on the island opened with a bang, and Li Fan flew down. The human-handed dog suddenly turned its head and stared at Li Fan. Making a threatening roar, its eyes full of vigilance. As it opened its mouth to bark, the white rib bone fell to the ground with a clang. Li Fan's eyes moved, and he grabbed it in his hand. This rib bone came from the first cultivator surnamed Su to be infected with the immortal mortal miasma. In the 115th life, Li Fan threw it out and attracted the attention of a giant monster composed of countless corpses in the white mist, escaping a disaster. The human-handed dog saw its beloved thing being snatched away, and its eyes became fierce. However, after Li Fan glanced at it slightly, it seemed to be greatly frightened, and instantly restrained itself. Its tail drooped, and it scurried into the island's buildings. Li Fan chuckled and followed it in. Not unfamiliar with this place, Li Fan quickly found Supreme Yin. As in the previous lives when he saw him, he was somewhat obsessed, staring at the mortals being tortured in the transparent cage. Muttering something in his mouth, Li Fan threw the white rib bone in his hand over, and Supreme Yin subconsciously caught it. He was stunned for a moment, and then grabbed it tightly. I found this thing in the little thing's mouth at the door just now. I vaguely felt that this bone was extraordinary. I think the little guy was naughty and stole it to play with. Li Fan explained with a smile. Supreme Yin suddenly understood, and kicked the human-handed dog hard. He put away the white rib bone. His face became much kinder, and he looked at Li Fan and asked, I wonder what brings you here, fellow Taoist. Li Fan looked around. This is not the place to talk. Supreme Yin was speechless, but he didn't dwell on it, and led Li Fan to the underground secret room. Walking through Supreme Yin's collection corridor, he also introduced them to Li Fan. To his surprise, it seemed that Li Fan also had some knowledge of these things. He could even interject with a few words from time to time. This made Supreme Yin, who had not found a confidant for a long time, very pleasantly surprised. His attitude towards Li Fan became more and more amiable. He kicked the human-handed dog again and asked it to serve 2 cups of dark, churning spiritual energy fungus tea. Before Supreme Yin could speak, Li Fan generously picked it up and drank it all in one gulp. Without changing his expression, good tea, he even said with some unfinished intention. This made Supreme Yin even more surprised. This secret room is quite hidden. Fellow Taoist, you can speak your mind freely. He also took a sip and said slowly. Fellow Taoist Yin, do you know about Open Black Lens Bracket Foundation establishment through me Close Black Lens Bracket? The next moment, Li Fan's words stunned him on the spot. Cough cough, choking and coughing a few times, Supreme Yin put down his teacup and looked at Li Fan with a strange expression. Fellow Taoist, are you here for open black lens bracket foundation establishment through me close black lens bracket? He had indeed told some other people about this matter, but most of them thought it was absurd. They just laughed it off. Li Fan was the first to visit him solemnly. Feeling a sense of mutual appreciation, Supreme Yin couldn't help but persuade him, but I see that you have already achieved the golden core realm. The foundation establishment through me technique is not perfect. Unexpectedly, Li Fan interrupted him. The next sentence was shocking. When I first heard about fellow Taoists' foundation establishment through me technique, I was amazed. But after careful consideration, I felt that there were still great flaws. So I worked hard and spent a lot of effort to finally complete it. Enjoy, I came here to share it with fellow Taoist. I also hope that fellow Taoist Yin will point out my shortcomings. Li Fan said lightly. Supreme Yin stood up abruptly upon hearing this. He stared at Li Fan, his eyes full of disbelief. He even laughed. You have completed the open black lens bracket foundation establishment through me close black lens bracket technique. Fellow Taoist, don't make fun of me. However, the smile on his face disappeared quickly as Li Fan uttered the incantation word by word. Replaced by surprise at first. Then solemnity, then shock. In the end, when Li Fan had finished explaining the entire foundation establishment through me technique, Supreme Yin's body was completely out of control and trembling. How is it possible? How is this possible? His eyes were full of confusion, as if he was verifying the feasibility of this foundation establishment through me technique. But no matter how he calculated, he only got one result. Flawless, perfect. Supreme Yin's legs went weak, and he staggered to the ground. Pointing at Li Fan, he trembled, unable to say a word for a long time. Suddenly coughing, it seems a bit off. Only 2 updates today. 825. A bosom friend is born. Li Fan wore a surprised look and asked, feigning ignorance, fellow Taoist Yin, what's wrong? Is there any flaw in this open black lens bracket foundation establishment with myself close black lens bracket that I deduced? Looking at Li Fan's puzzled face, Yin Shengren opened his mouth, wanting to say something but stopping. In the end, he gave up in frustration. After being lost in thought for a long time, he finally got up again. He bypassed Li Fan and walked to a blank wall in the underground secret room, using his hand as a pen. He recorded the open black lens bracket foundation establishment with myself close black lens bracket in one breath, writing freely and unrestrainedly. After finishing writing, he stopped in front of it, his expression intoxicated. The expression on his face changed continuously, with surprise, emotion, and regret. Li Fan didn't disturb him, but stood in front of this peerless foundation establishment method and watched silently. After an unknown amount of time, Yin Shengren finally woke up leisurely. He looked at Li Fan, bowed and said, if this method was really comprehended by you, then you are truly a peerless genius, far beyond my reach. This version of open black lens bracket foundation establishment with myself close black lens bracket is perfect and flawless. It can be regarded as a method for posterity. Then he sighed again, if I had been fortunate enough to obtain this method when I established my foundation, I wouldn't have become like this now. What do you mean by that, fellow Taoist Yin? Li Fan pretended not to know. Yin Shengren grinned, and his body split open from the middle, revealing another self inside his body. Then he explained, once foundation establishment with myself is complete, there is no chance to regret and start over, Yin Shengren said with emotion. Li Fan seized the opportunity and comforted him, actually, there is no big difference between the two. Both are cases of having no way forward, stopping at foundation establishment. Yin Shengren was a little stunned, fellow Taoist, this is. Li Fan frankly confessed, this is another reason why I came to find you, fellow Taoist Yin. After I deduced the foundation establishment with myself method, I was very excited. I thought I had opened up a new path. I originally planned to continue deducing the subsequent golden core, Yuan Ying, and so on with full confidence. But alas, Li Fan shook his head slightly, his face full of bitterness, I thought for a long time, but I couldn't find where the road ahead was. After foundation establishment with myself, all methods return to oneself. I think the golden core is the same. According to ancient cultivation classics, I call it open black lens bracket primal chaos golden core close black lens bracket. But how exactly to achieve this perfect open black lens bracket primal chaos golden core close black lens bracket, I can't figure it out. It's as if all my inspiration has been exhausted, and it's as if something exists, deliberately preventing me from exploring all this. As Li Fan spoke, his expression became very painful. Yin Shangren seemed to feel the same way and quickly comforted him. You being able to see through the secret of open black lens bracket foundation establishment with myself close black lens bracket is already a rare genius in the world, far exceeding ordinary cultivators. Why be so harsh on yourself? As for the primal chaos golden core you mentioned, Yin Shangren pondered, this is a path that is destined not to be easy. It can be said to be going against the heavens. As he spoke, Yin Shangren seemed to remember something and suddenly fell silent. I have a faint feeling in my heart. Perhaps in this life, there is no possibility of taking a further step on this new path. That's why I came to find you, fellow Taoist. Li Fan looked at Yin Shangren with sincerity. Being able to propose the open black lens bracket foundation establishment with myself close black lens bracket method first, your pioneering thinking must be far superior to mine. Perhaps you can open up a new step again. Without regard for anything else, he directly spoke about the open black lens bracket primal chaos golden core close black lens bracket in one breath. After speaking, he stared at Yin Shangren with anticipation. What do you think, fellow Taoist? Yin Shangren couldn't help but listen attentively. Let me think. He seemed to have fallen directly into deduction, his expression becoming a little dazed. After a long time, he finally woke up. This method is difficult, even more difficult than foundation establishment with myself. It cannot be answered in a short time. Moreover, I have other things to study. Yin Shangren's expression was a little hesitant. Judging from the situation on your island, it seems to be related to the immortal mortal chi. Li Fan asked. Yin Shangren nodded and said, you have a keen eye. I have a hunch that this immortal mortal chi hides a great secret of heaven and earth. Then I wish you to solve this mystery in advance. When that day comes, I hope you can share it with me. Li Fan laughed and said very naturally. Don't worry, you can tell me the perfect open black lens bracket foundation establishment with myself close black lens bracket method without reservation, and I will naturally not hide anything. Yin Shangren looked at Li Fan and said with great joy, I didn't expect that I could meet someone like you in the world, who shares the same interests. Before I came, I didn't expect to be so congenial with you. Li Fan also looked gratified. By the way, I think you don't have to worry about deducing the open black lens bracket primal chaos golden core close black lens bracket will delay the progress of studying the immortal mortal chi. In my experience, the two can be carried out alternately and synchronously. When one side encounters a dead end, you may wish to turn to the other side first. Maybe inspiration will arise soon. Li Fan talked eloquently about his experience and insights. Yin Shangren's eyes sparkled as he listened. The two met each other late, and talked for 3 days and 3 nights on the island. Until the final parting, Li Fan extended an invitation to Yin Shangren. This island is too shabby. How can it be worthy of your demeanor? I have a small world, with strange scenery and natural purity. It is suitable for us to concentrate on research. Why don't you come back with me? Those who can own their own cave heaven and small world in the Xuanwang realm are all rich and noble. Yin Shangren's eyes flashed with surprise when he heard this. He hesitated, but ultimately rejected Li Fan's kind invitation. Although this island is a bit small, I am used to staying here. Maybe I will go to your place to make a fuss when I get tired of it. Li Fan was not surprised by Yin Shangren's answer. He showed a very regretful look on his face, and then bid farewell reluctantly. Before leaving, he handed over his communication talisman, saying that he must keep in touch and exchange ideas. After turning around and leaving Yin Yin Island, he suddenly stopped after flying out a distance. Looking back at the island, Li Fan hesitated for a moment, and finally cancelled the plan to use open black lens bracket formless killing intent close black lens bracket to lock Yin Shangren. Yin Shangren's strength is a bit strange, and he cannot be regarded as an ordinary foundation establishment. This world has already won his initial trust by relying on the foundation establishment with myself method. There is no need to add embellishments. Although the formless killing intent is hidden, there is no guarantee that he will not notice it. After thinking for a moment, Li Fan finally left. He flew all the way west, out of the Kangyun Sea, and came to Shilin Prefecture. Since the fall of Jushin Prefecture, the Myriad Immortals Alliance has tried to organize several counterattacks. Trying to regain it, However, Jushan is a dangerous place, and every mountain is like a natural barrier. The counterattacks all ended in failure. 826. Suddenly the battle situation changes. Besides the strategic importance of Jushan province, where teleportation arrays are ineffective and cultivators below the core formation stage cannot traverse the mountains, the complete betrayal of the Lingyuan sect is also a significant reason why the Myriad Immortals Alliance's offensives have repeatedly failed. It's unclear what benefits the Five Elders Council promised the Lingyuan sect. Under the rule of the Myriad Immortals Alliance, this organization had often been fickle. However, after being incorporated under the Five Elders Council, it seemed to have completely changed its nature, becoming absolutely loyal. They even captured and handed over several envoys who had secretly infiltrated from the Myriad Immortals Alliance on the spot, to demonstrate their absolute loyalty. With the setbacks in the Jushan province offensive, the Myriad Immortals Alliance changed its strategy. Switching from offense to defense. Heavy troops were drawn from the bordering provinces to defend the frontier. Even the protective formations were activated to encompass the entire province. Heavenly Origin Transformation Array. Li Fan looked up at the sky, which had turned earthy yellow, and narrowed his eyes slightly, feeling the essence being drawn away from his body from time to time. The Myriad Immortals Alliance's protective array indeed has some merit. It's just a pity that it's far weaker than the Heavenly Zon Locking Spirit Array. With my dissolution disc in hand, I can break it in an instant. Many images flashed through his eyes. In an instant, as Li Fan gently pinched his fingers and cast a spell, a vacuum seemed to appear around him. The function of the Heavenly Origin Transformation Array to extract the essence of heaven and earth lost its effect near Li Fan. More importantly, no one noticed anything unusual. The Myriad Immortals Alliance has activated the protective array. Under normal circumstances, the Five Elders Council cannot break it in a short time. The war may soon fall into a stalemate and then slowly subside, forgotten by everyone. No, let me lend you another hand. Li Fan chuckled and flew towards the border of Shailan province like a ghost. He did not cross the defense line to go to Jushan province. Instead, he came near a border town called Crane Stone, not far from the White Mist Barrier. A team of cultivators from the Myriad Immortals Alliance's martial arts hall was stationed in the town. The Crane Stone Town Guardian was also nervously accompanying them, checking the specific conditions of the defensive measures such as formations and restrictions. Without alarming the defense personnel, Li Fan secretly broke into the city. After they finally separated, he quietly found the Crane Stone Town Guardian. The Guardian's name was Udiya, with only a golden core cultivation. He had a big belly and a kind face, looking very honest. After resting for a while, he was drinking a cup of spiritual tea to relax. Suddenly, he saw Li Fan appearing in front of him without warning. His expression changed, and he was about to call for someone. But he noticed that the other party was looking at him with interest. His heart stirred, and the sound that had reached his lips was swallowed back. "Who are you?" Udiya asked, narrowing his eyes. "The Myriad Realms Association, you should know it," Li Fan said deliberately in a strange voice. Udiya's face changed again in an instant, but he was very cautious not to admit it. Li Fan kept looking Udiya up and down, and said with a strange laugh, "Penetrated with holes, the Myriad Immortals Alliance is indeed doomed." Udiya's aura instantly became erratic and dangerous with Li Fan's words. "Don't worry. Besides our Myriad Realms Association, no one else knows about your identity as a Five Elders Council spy," Li Fan glanced at him and said lightly. At this time, Udiya finally stopped pretending. Although he didn't know how he was exposed, Udiya still maintained the basic qualities of a spy and responded calmly, "You came to me, what exactly? Isn't it because your Five Elders Council has disappointed us too much? After occupying Jushan province, you should have taken advantage of the victory to pursue and annex a few more provinces. Why are you so satisfied and not moving?" Udiya's expression became a little ugly. "Don't you really think that the Myriad Immortals Alliance is easy to deal with? This successful surprise attack on Jushan province was also after detailed planning. Don't you see how strict the border defenses are? Just talking about the protective array covering the entire province, it is not so easy to break through." Jia, the weak always like to find excuses for themselves. Or are you afraid of that heavenly Venerable of Dharma transmission, and you are hesitant to take complete action? Li Fan glanced at Udiya and sneered. Without waiting for the other party to respond, Li Fan said to himself, "But your concerns are also right. Now is indeed not the time for a large-scale attack. But, it's okay to go a little further and expand the results a bit, without attracting the heavenly Venerable of Dharma transmission to take action. Saying that, Li Fan threw a jade slip over. Yu Daya reacted quickly, caught it, and checked it. He could no longer maintain his composure, the flaw in the heavenly origin transformation array. He looked at Li Fan, his eyes full of horror. This. Whether it's true or false, you'll know once you try. I just hope you have the guts, Li Fan said with a gloomy smile. Without waiting for the other party to say more, his figure flickered and disappeared from the other party's sight. Yu Daya held the jade slip tightly, his face uncertain. This cultivator who claimed to be from the Myriad Realms Association had a mysterious origin. His tone was even more frightening. Not only did he know his undercover identity, but he also knew the secrets of the Myriad Immortals Alliance's protective array. Quote. Yu Daya was hesitant at this moment. Should I pass this message on? Now the front-line defenses are too strict. If I want to succeed, I can only abandon this hard-won identity. After thinking for a while, Yu Daya carefully read the contents of the jade slip again. Then he came to a quiet place in the city alone, facing the heavenly origin transformation array covering the province. After half a day, Yu Daya's expression remained unchanged on the surface. In fact, his body was already trembling slightly uncontrollably. That was caused by excitement. It's actually true, Yu Daya took a deep breath, suppressing the excitement in his heart. He acted as usual, engaging in normal activities. Until 3 days later, he seized a rare opportunity and left Crane Stone City on the pretext. Li Fan then slowly revealed his figure. I hope the Five Elders Council doesn't disappoint me. Yu Daya's inexplicable disappearance quickly attracted the attention of the martial arts hall cultivators stationed in the city. By the time they confirmed that he had really defected and hurriedly issued a request for assistance and wanted notice to the border. Yu Daya had already successfully returned to Jushan province and found his organization. After only a short half-month of peace. Before the Crane Stone City spy incident and the Myriad Immortals Alliance's accountability process were completed, the Five Elders Council's storm-like attacks quickly arrived. Not only Shailan province. Wars broke out along all the border lines. The protective array, a major reliance of the Myriad Immortals Alliance, was useless and like a mere formality. Caught off guard, the Myriad Immortals Alliance suffered heavy losses. In less than 7 days, news of the fall of several provinces came. However, Shailan province was still struggling to resist because of the heavy troops stationed there. The change in the war situation was beyond everyone's expectations. The Immortal Alliance cultivators were immediately panic-stricken. I might have really tested positive, my throat is starting to hurt. 827. The first confrontation of the Immortal Alliance. But just when everyone thought the situation was about to become one-sided, squads of black-clad cultivators arrived on the battlefield through teleportation arrays from various states. The origins of these cultivators were unknown, but each and every one of them was at least in the nascent soul realm. Core formation was the mainstay, and Dao integration realm cultivators led the charge. The battle prowess they displayed was also extremely terrifying. You must know that the Xuanwang realm has not seen any major wars for hundreds of years. However, these cultivators seem to have been through hundreds of battles, their killing aura extremely heavy. Their coordination was seamless, and their attacks were fierce. A team of 4 or 5 nascent soul cultivators could surround and kill a core formation cultivator. And when the Dao integration realm cultivator leading the team attacked, he could even cause the 5 old associations Dao integration cultivators to retreat in defeat. The battle situation reversed instantly. Li Fan, who was hiding in Shilin State, happened to witness the attack of this group of black-clad cultivators. What impressed him the most was naturally the Dao integration realm cultivator at the head. As if he had condensed the thunder of the heavens into a spear, which he held in his hand. The entire Shilin State was illuminated in an instant. The silver spear was like a dragon, stirring up the heavens and the earth. Even Li Fan, who was watching from afar, was affected. He felt as if he was in a storm, surrounded by the screams of spiritual energy riots. The spiritual power in his body was forced to resonate with it, and its operation was stagnant. Before this strike was even launched, groups of 5 old association cultivators were sent plummeting from the sky. In the end, it was a wooden fan that blocked the silver lightning. This prevented the 5 old association from being completely annihilated. This move is a bit familiar. Li Fan couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Before he could continue to think, unexpected changes took place on the battlefield. The Five-Old Association, whose actions were slightly hindered, immediately chose to retreat collectively. Without any procrastination, as if they had a pre-arranged plan. And in addition to the Tao Integration Realm cultivator holding the wooden fan, there was another man sitting in a wooden wheelchair, unhurriedly unfolding a scroll of array diagrams. In an instant, he laid down several arrays on the battlefield, delaying and preventing the 10,000 Immortals Alliance from pursuing. The Five-Old Association was well trained, and in a short time, they had retreated like a tide, leaving behind only a scarred land, telling of the war that had just taken place. Rather than a full-scale war, it's more like a probing attack. It would be best if they could take it down in one battle. Otherwise, they'll just touch and go. Li Fan looked at the 10,000 Immortals Alliance cultivators on the land of Shilin State, who had survived the disaster and were still in shock, and pondered. The black-clad cultivators who came to support did not choose to pursue the orderly retreat of the Five-Old Association. They stood in midair for a long time, preventing the other side from launching a surprise attack. It was not until the front line was reorganized and perfected that they turned into blacklight and fled. Although the timely appearance of the black-clad cultivators prevented the overall collapse of the battle situation, the previous rapid defeat still made the entire 10,000 Immortals Alliance feel extremely angry. First of all, the protective arrays in various places were quickly changed from the Heavenly Yuan Creation Array to the more defensive Myriad Miles of Mountains and Rivers Array. Then, the Immortal Alliance's Array Strategy Hall began a round of self-investigation from top to bottom. There is no doubt that the Five-Old Association was able to easily break through the 10,000 Immortals Alliance's defense line because of the leak of the protective array. Ordinary array masters can only know a corner of the Great Array. And to be so clear about the various loopholes in the protective array, it must be a high-level member of the Immortal Alliance's Array Strategy Hall. If this person is not eliminated, no matter how the protective array is changed in the future, it will undoubtedly be as transparent as glass in the enemy's eyes. The severity of this matter can be imagined. Not only the Immortal Alliance headquarters, but also the Array Strategy Halls in various states, could see Array Masters being taken away for investigation. Although the Five-Old Association temporarily retreated, the 10,000 Immortals Alliance was plunged into a violent turmoil. Kong Yun-Si, on Haizan Island. Ji Shaoli was warmly greeting the Kong Yun-Si cultivators who came to participate in the gathering. Most of them were stationed on various islands, and some were working on 10,000 Immortals Island. Not to mention being busy every day, they were also very busy in the current tense situation. Being able to take the time to attend today's banquet was already giving Ji Shaoli a lot of face. It's a pity that the fellow Taoists from the Array Strategy Hall did not grace us with their presence today. The avatar Ji Shaoli said with regret. They are having a headache dealing with various reviews. They really don't have time. A cultivator immediately explained with emotion. I really didn't expect that even the protective array, a top secret, could be sold. It is conceivable to what extent the high-level officials of the Array Strategy Hall have become corrupt. It is said that in order to quell this matter, the chief array master of the Array Strategy Hall, Lu Shichen, has already voluntarily applied for resignation. Tisk tisk. In my opinion, it's more than just the Array Strategy Hall. The entire high level of the Immortal Alliance. Hey, fellow Taoist Zhang, be careful with your words. Everyone present was employed within the Immortal Alliance system. Ji Shaoli started a topic, which led to a heated discussion among the people. But as they went on, the topics became more and more taboo and sensitive. Everyone tacitly stopped. Speaking of which, fellow Taoist Ji, have you changed your temperament? In the past, there were many beautiful female cultivators serving on the island, but today I don't see a single one. Fellow Taoist Ji sent away a batch some time ago. I thought he was looking for a new love, but I didn't expect that so much time has passed, and he still hasn't made a move. It's really a bit strange. Facing the curious and questioning gazes from around, Ji Shaoli sighed and said, nothing else, I'm tired of playing. After indulging in pleasure, I feel a little empty after all. Especially when the war broke out inexplicably some time ago, a good friend of mine in Shilin State suddenly fell. It made me even more alert. Compared with enjoyment, one's own cultivation realm is more important. The situation is changing day by day, and no one knows which direction it will develop. The higher the realm, the higher the chance of survival in the future. Ji Shaoli's remarks immediately won the approval of many people. Although our Kong Yun Sea is located on the border, it is also adjacent to the territory of the Five Old Association. Maybe they will attack one day. We must be prepared. But it also made many people look worried. Most of us are only at the Foundation establishment and Golden Core realm. If a war really breaks out, I'm afraid it will be like duckweed in the wind. Ji Shaoli sighed in a timely manner. Life and death are beyond our control. The sentence, life and death are beyond our control, touched the cultivators present. Their expressions were different. Ji Shaoli changed the subject. This is also another reason why I invited you here this time. Everyone also knows that I won the fixed fish jackpot and have a lot of wealth. The eyes of a group of cultivators were instantly attracted to it. Indeed, if it weren't for the huge sum of money, how could these people be so polite to Ji Shaoli? Aren't they thinking that at a critical moment, they can borrow some contribution points from the other party to tide them over? And I myself also have some knowledge of investment, although I have spent a lot of money on indulging in pleasure over the years. But in general, my wealth has doubled again. Ji Shaoli said with a smug look. 828. Kongyun Mutual Aid Association. Quote? Ji Shaoli's words immediately shocked everyone present. It should be known that the 5 million contribution points for winning the Fish Head Award were already beyond the reach of most cultivators in their entire lives. Yet, in such a short period, his wealth had more than doubled. He Zhenghao was so shocked that he stood up on the spot. Brother Ji, are you kidding me? Ji Shaoli's expression changed, and he said seriously, how could Ji speak nonsense? He Zhenghao also realized he had been inappropriate and cupped his fist in apology. It was impudent of me. Having received Ji Shaoli's personal confirmation again, the gazes of the cultivators present towards him subtly became somewhat fervent. At least 10 million contribution points. Even in the central core state of the Immortal Alliance, that would be considered wealthy. Brother Ji, stop being so mysterious. What exactly is the reason for gathering us here today? Yes, it can't be just to show off your wealth, right? The crowd discussed animatedly. Ji Shaoli waved his hand, and everyone quieted down again. All eyes were focused on him, awaiting his words. A great battle is about to begin, the situation is unclear, we need to plan ahead. One person's strength is insufficient to face the changes. Therefore, we need to act as a group, Ji Shaoli said decisively. The cultivators present looked at each other, unsure of what this so-called group meant. Help each other, unite as one. Share information, share difficulties. Ji Shaoli looked around and spoke forcefully. However, those present were not young lads who could be easily bewitched by a few simple words. They showed expressions of doubt, waiting for Ji Shaoli to elaborate. As a group, the higher the cultivation level of its members, the more beneficial it is to the collective. I know that some of you, due to being short on funds, cannot purchase suitable cultivation methods. Therefore, your realms have been stagnant. And fortunately, I have enough spare contribution points. Having said that, some of the smarter people present had already guessed what Ji Shaoli was going to say next. But they were still somewhat incredulous, staring fixedly at him. Therefore, for any brother willing to join our mutual aid society, I can lend him the contribution points needed to exchange for cultivation methods first. No interest is required, just repay it slowly in the future. Even, you can offset or reduce part of the debt by completing tasks issued by the mutual aid society. Although it was not a free gift, the loan without collateral or interest still made the cultivators present very tempted. Due to my current limited assets, and considering all the brothers present, I will temporarily set the upper limit of contribution points that each person can borrow to 100,000. Of course, the more tasks you complete within the mutual aid society, the higher the borrowing limit will be in the future. There will even be other preferential treatments. Ji Shaoli spoke eloquently, explaining the various operating mechanisms of the mutual aid society. Joining the mutual aid society does not require signing any mandatory contracts. If you don't want to stay, you can leave at any time as long as you pay off your debts to the society. Borrowing contribution points does not require any collateral or agreements. However, those who maliciously violate the rules will be jointly punished by the brothers of the mutual aid society. Ji Shaoli's expression was solemn, and a hint of killing intent appeared, causing many cultivators present to secretly change color. I knew that fellow Taoist Ji, you are no ordinary person. To be able to propose such a bold idea. I'm joining this mutual aid society. The first to respond was Pei Tuo, the guardian of Heidong Island, who was at the great perfection stage of the Golden Core realm. In the previous reincarnation, Li had a brief encounter with him. This person had been at the great perfection stage of the Golden Core realm for more than 10 years, but he had not yet saved enough contribution points to exchange for the nascent soul cultivation method. Not to mention finding a suitable grotto heaven to devour. He had wasted a lot of time, how could he not be anxious? This time, he encountered a godsend opportunity, and he agreed on the spot without thinking. Even if there were any constraints or restrictions in joining the Mutual Aid Society, he would accept it. Being able to step into the nascent soul realm a day earlier could make a big difference in his future life. Ji Shaoli applauded and praised. Happy. Fellow Taoist Pei, don't worry, as the second member of the Mutual Aid Society. I will definitely not mistreat you. The first member, of course, referred to Ji Shaoli himself. Ji Shaoli's lips moved slightly, as if he was saying something to Pei Tuo. After listening, Pei Tuo's body shook violently, his face was full of disbelief, staring fixedly at Ji Shaoli. Ji Shaoli smiled slightly and reached out to interrupt what the other party wanted to say. However, the extremely excited expression on Pei Tuo's face could not be concealed from everyone present. He got up and sat down next to Ji Shaoli, turning his head to look at the cultivators who had not yet made a choice. Although everyone was very curious about what benefits Ji Shaoli had promised. But they were not directly overwhelmed, clamoring to join the Mutual Aid Society. After all, no one could guarantee whether Pei Tuo and Ji Shaoli had jointly performed a play. Hesitating, no one else spoke. Ji Shaoli was not in a hurry, but said softly, "There is no need to rush. You can come to me again when you have decided. But some ugly words have to be said first. Those who join the society first will have preferential treatment in all aspects. The later you join, what you might have been able to obtain for free may require you to work hard to obtain." Although the words were vague, they had a sense of coercion. When the banquet ended that day, including Pei Tuo, a total of 6 cultivators chose to join the Mutual Aid Society first. Fellow Taoist He, won't you consider it? Ji Shaoli looked at He Junghao, who was about to leave, and asked with a smile. Brother Ji, don't worry, I will think about it when I go back. I will give you an answer soon. He Junghao said confidently. So Ji Shaoli did not force it. After the other cultivators dispersed, Ji Shaoli looked at the 6 cultivators who had stayed. 2 golden cores, 4 foundation establishments. Restart the Great Wilderness 8 Extremes Dragon Extinction Formation to seal off the island. Ji Shaoli looked at the few people and nodded in satisfaction. Very good. You few are the veterans of our Mutual Aid Society. Fellow Taoist Ji, is it true that there are no contractual restrictions in this Mutual Aid Society? Another golden core cultivator named Shangshin asked. Ji Shaoli smiled disdainfully. What restrictions are more solid and reliable than the benefits themselves? I said, the original intention of creating the Mutual Aid Society is for everyone to help each other and overcome difficulties together. Shangshin nodded without answering. The others also remained silent, non-committal. Only Pei Tuo, who could no longer hold back. After Ji Shaoli signaled his approval, he could not wait to ask. Brother Ji, the news you said earlier about providing me with an unknown nascent soul grotto heaven. Is it really true? 829. The mystery of the cave source. The moment Pei Tuo said this, the others present were immediately horrified, and a realization dawned on them. No wonder Pei Tuo was so distraught just now. It turned out that Ji Shaoli had promised him an unknown nascent soul cave heaven. One must know that an unknown cave heaven is essential for a golden core cultivator to advance to the nascent soul realm. Each unknown cave heaven almost represents a nascent soul cultivator about to rise, and its value is immeasurable. Besides joining those prominent families in the Immortal Alliance, one has to rely entirely on one's own luck to find one. Difficult, difficult, difficult. The 10,000 Immortals Alliance has countless foundation establishment and golden core cultivators, like crops in the field, replaced batch after batch. However, nascent soul cultivators can already be considered to have entered the hall, holding important positions in various states. They are completely the backbone of the Immortal Alliance. The difference between realms is like heaven and earth. But, Ji Shaoli himself is only at the golden core realm, providing information about unknown cave heavens to the Mutual Aid Society members. Is that even possible? The few people present couldn't help but feel a trace of doubt in their hearts. It wasn't that they were suspicious. It's just that this matter was a bit unbelievable, not to mention that Ji Shaoli is just a lone wolf without any backing or support. Even if he were a member of some mysterious organization, with an unowned cave heaven in hand, there would definitely be countless people willing to join him. Why bother recruiting soldiers and buying horses in this Kanyan Sea? Could it be the Five Elders Association? As soon as this thought emerged, the crowd, who had recovered from their initial excitement, couldn't help but be shocked. The more they thought about it, the more panicked they became. Ji Shaoli naturally saw what these people were thinking. He smiled faintly. You don't need to worry too much. I am definitely not a spy from the Five Elders Association. The unowned cave heaven prepared for Pei Tuo is also within the territory of the 10,000 Immortals Alliance. Only then did everyone breathe a sigh of relief. The Mutual Aid Society is newly established, so it's normal for you to have some doubts. However, facts speak louder than words. When Pei Tuo achieves the nascent soul realm, all doubts will surely be dispelled without being attacked. Ji Shaoli said confidently. However, before completing this matter, let's first resolve your issues. Ji Shaoli clapped his hands gently. After a moment, an image of a faceless stone statue suddenly appeared in the banquet hall of the cave dwelling. This is the true immortal of saving from suffering and disaster, compassion in the mortal world. You only need to sincerely pray to it and silently recite the oath to join the society to complete the joining ceremony. After that, I will transfer the contribution points to you. Ji Shaoli said with a smile as he introduced. So simple. Shang Xin was a little suspicious. It's that simple. Our mutual aid society doesn't engage in any mystification. Ji Shaoli said firmly. Upon hearing this, everyone couldn't help but look up at the faceless stone statue in the air. It didn't seem to have any profound mysteries, only a faint, inexplicable aura could be sensed from its body, telling of the extraordinariness of this stone statue. With the unowned cave heaven as a lure, Pei Tuo was naturally fearless and stepped forward to silently recite the oath. After a moment, he raised his head. Is that it? It seemed that nothing had happened. That's it. Welcome to formally join the Mutual Aid Society. Ji Shaoli revealed a warm smile. Seeing this, the others followed suit. Before long, the first batch of 6 cultivators of the Mutual Aid Society had completed their joining. Ji Shaoli didn't break his promise and immediately transferred 100,000 contribution points to each of them. When they confirmed that they had indeed received this huge sum of contribution points through the heavenly mystery small mirror on the island, their expressions were somewhat dazed, as if in a dream. The Mutual Aid Society values quality over quantity. Therefore, please do not intentionally publicize it. Of course, if you have talented relatives and friends, you can also actively introduce them to the society. Ji Shaoli instructed again before sending them away. After the group left, Ji Shaoli turned around and looked at the somewhat impatient Pei Tuo. I wonder what Brother Pei's foundation establishment treasure and golden core method are. Also, what kind of nascent soul cultivation technique are you planning to practice? Ji Shaoli suddenly asked. Pei Tuo only hesitated for a moment before telling him everything. I used the solid rock wall to achieve the Tao foundation, and the 3 methods of protection, life, and earth to achieve the golden core. I have taken a fancy to a technique called 8 Directions Immovable Earth Suppression Art. Ji Shaoli first praised. The foundation establishment treasure and golden core method complement each other. Fellow Taoist is truly not simple. Without waiting for the other party to answer, he immediately asked, I happen to know of 1,000 rock cave heaven that is very compatible with your path. What do you think? 1,000 rock cave heaven, that would naturally be excellent. Pei Tuo was overjoyed upon hearing this. But immediately afterward, he repeatedly realized something, and his body suddenly stiffened. He looked at Ji Shaoli not far away, and the shock in his heart was already difficult to describe in words. To be able to cultivate all the way to the golden core completion stage solely on one's own strength. Pei Tuo was definitely not a dull person. He keenly noticed some wrong things. He happened to know of 1,000 rock cave heaven that was extremely compatible with him. Where did so many coincidences come from? One must know that most of the cave heavens devoured by nascent soul cultivators in the world are difficult to match with their own foundation establishment and golden core dharma forms. After all, being able to find a cave heaven to achieve the nascent soul is already a blessing. Who, except for the core disciples of those prominent families, can afford to be picky? But coincidentally, the one that Ji Shaoli prepared for himself was almost tailor-made. Either it was a coincidence, or it meant Ji Shaoli knew of more than one, or even many different cave heavens. After learning about his cultivation path, he immediately selected the most suitable one. What did this mean? I'm afraid only the top forces in the Immortal Alliance could do that. A chill rose in Pei Tuo's heart. In his mind, the faceless stone statue reappeared. The true immortal of saving from suffering and disaster, compassion in the mortal world. Exactly. Just as Pei Tuo was feeling uneasy, Ji Shaoli spoke again. Brother Pei, what do you think? If you have no objections, then let's set off now. Pei Tuo hurriedly agreed. Next, the two of them first came to the Myriad Immortals Island for transit through the teleportation array. Then they headed all the way towards the hinterland of the Immortal Alliance. This slightly reduced the worry in Pei Tuo's heart. At least, it's definitely not from the Five Elders Association. He thought to himself, arriving at Ji Yufeng Prefecture and leaving the floating sky city. Ji Shaoli used a secret technique to conceal the whereabouts of the two. Then they traveled quickly all the way to a desolate Gobi desert. After looking around to ensure that there were no cultivators nearby, Ji Shaoli pointed to the sky and quietly transmitted his voice. The Thousand Rock Cave Heaven is here. Pei Tuo was slightly stunned, and then flew to the location pointed by Ji Shaoli and carefully sensed it. Before long, he indeed sensed the existence of an unknown cave heaven, and he was overjoyed. At the same time, it was difficult to hide the shock in his heart. You can advance here. I will protect you, Ji Shaoli said calmly. 830. Empty thoughts replenish oneself. Pei Tuo responded and eagerly entered the Thousand Rock Grotto Heaven. Ji Shaoli concealed the fluctuations caused by the other party's swallowing of the Grotto Heaven. After all, this place is in the hinterland of the Myriad Immortals Alliance, and it is currently a tense moment in the war. Although he and Pei Tuo are indeed members of the Myriad Immortals Alliance, it is still best to be careful and avoid trouble. Just like when Li Fan devoured the Five Elements Grotto Heaven. From the golden core, the ferocious roots of heaven and earth surged out frantically. With tens of thousands of tentacles, consciously rooting into every part of the Thousand Rock Grotto Heaven. Entwining and locking. Eventually, the entire Grotto Heaven was enveloped. The Grotto Heaven rumbled, turning into rays of light particles, merging into Pei Tuo's body. This process lasted for 3 full days. 3 days later, Pei Tuo suddenly reappeared in the Xuanwang realm. The aura of the nascent soul realm surged on his body, remaining turbulent for a long time. Long trapped in the golden core stage, breaking through in one fell swoop, Pei Tuo was about to roar to express the joy in his heart. However, he was pulled back to reality by Ji Shaoli's cold reminder, "Go, don't linger." Pei Tuo's aura suddenly stagnated. Although he was now a higher cultivation realm than the other party, he did not dare to underestimate Ji Shaoli in the slightest. The Mutual Aid Society behind him must be an extremely terrifying force. It would definitely be as easy as flipping his hand to deal with his small nascent soul. So Pei Tuo obediently followed behind Ji Shaoli, returning to the Kongyan Sea in a low-key and swift manner. And Shang Xin and others from the Mutual Aid Society were shocked when they saw Pei Tuo, who was now in the nascent soul realm. They finally confirmed that what Ji Shaoli said was true. Some regretted why they weren't the first to join, and the way they looked at Ji Shaoli gradually became fervent. After hesitating for a while, Shang Xin finally couldn't resist the temptation and asked, "Fellow Taoist Ji, if we break through in the future, will the organization?" Ji Shaoli interrupted him with a smile. "Everyone, rest assured, as the first veterans of the Kongyan Sea Mutual Aid Society, as long as you reach the realm, an unknown grotto heaven will be arranged immediately. So your most important task right now is to cultivate diligently and improve your cultivation as soon as possible." His words instantly gave the people present endless motivation. Immediately, they returned to the Tianquan mirror on Myriad Immortals Island and began to cultivate desperately at any cost. And when the news of Pei Tuo's breakthrough spread, it caused the monks who attended the banquet that day to be extremely shocked. For a time, monks came to Haishuan Island in an endless stream to visit and wanted to join the Kongyan Sea Mutual Aid Society. However, Ji Shaoli chose to close his doors to guests and refused to see anyone. The so-called law cannot be easily transmitted. He looked at the scene outside the Taihuang 8 Extremes Dragon Extinguishing Formation, where a group of monks had different expressions, and smiled slightly. No matter how they shouted, he pretended not to hear, and Ji Shaoli continued to buy and sell materials in the Tianquan mirror market. Although 6 million contribution points seemed like a lot, it wasn't enough. Before the Mutual Aid Society develops, he still needs to earn more back. Spirit Wood Realm. At the moment when Pei Tuo officially broke through to the nascent soul stage, a huge feedback of cultivation base was generated from within Li Fan's dantian for no reason. It was instantly absorbed by Li Fan, allowing his original mid-golden core cultivation base to leap forward. It really works. Using the non-existent red dust compassionate true immortal as a transit carrier, the ultimate beneficiary is still my true self. Li Fan took a deep breath, his eyes gleaming. The key lies in the so-called oath of joining the society. The oath roughly stated that the brothers in the Mutual Aid Society need to help and love each other under the witness of the compassionate true immortal. And all the conveniences provided by the Mutual Aid Society are rewards from the compassionate true immortal. People in the society need to keep this in mind at all times, etc. In this way, it won't be long before I return to the nascent soul realm. I just don't know if the Myriad Immortals Alliance has discovered the 5 elements Great Grotto Heaven at this point in time. After thinking for a while, Li Fan summoned Tianyang and asked him to take a trip to Tianling continent for him. See what the specific situation is there. Just inquire, prioritize your own safety. Li Fan instructed. Tianyang nodded sharply, and then turned into a stream of light and escaped from the spirit wood realm. With Tianyang's strength, even if he is discovered, it won't be a problem to escape. It's just that the transformation god cultivation base is ultimately not enough. After I return to the nascent soul stage, I might consider helping him to combine Tao. Several figures of heaven and earth spirit flashed through Li Fan's mind in an instant. After thinking for a while, he locked onto the target. The heaven and earth spirit can almost be regarded as a combined Tao cultivator. Back then, Kai Yan, who was just a boiler worker, was also forced to use all the means of several transformation gods in Kongyansi to barely defeat him. More importantly, the entire combined Tao process needs to be completed silently, without attracting the attention of other cultivators. Otherwise, it is very likely that he will make a wedding dress for others in vain. Even with Li Fan's help, Tianyang is probably a little reluctant. Li Fan couldn't help but think of the 3 from the Medicine King sect. It's a pity that it will take some time before the Medicine King True Cauldron returns. Just as Li Fan was thinking about where to get some help, in the Spirit Wood realm, a change occurred for no reason. At this moment, after Shang Tianxi's day and night hard work, the Spirit Wood realm has undergone a great change. Countless Xuanwang sceneries are dotted throughout the Spirit Wood realm. The misty spiritual energy is connected to the earth veins below and reflected on the sky above. It's like connecting as one. The entire world seems to be undergoing some kind of wonderful transformation, and the most obvious and beneficial of them is of course the spirit tree in the center of the world. In a short period of time, it, which had already stopped growing, has grown nearly a third taller again. The branches and leaves are emerald green and dripping, and it has regained a rare vitality. It seems that something has been gestating. Li Fan's heart moved, and through the heart of the spirit wood, he instantly locked onto the source of the change. It was in the space in the center of the spirit tree where the tree people were originally bred. Countless green light spots gathered to form a blurry figure. This is. Li Fan narrowed his eyes and came nearby in a flash. The female patriarch of the tree people also rushed over at this time. She looked at the increasingly clear figure in the distance that was about to form, first stunned, and then seemed to remember something. Suddenly became a little excited. Master, this is the tree spirit. She took the initiative to explain to Li Fan. After the explanation of the female patriarch of the tree people, Li Fan also understood what the so-called tree spirit is. If the tree people are born from the spirit tree and exist as guards, then the goal they need to protect is to guard the spirit tree until it gives birth to its own intelligence. Compared to Li Fan's forced refining of the heart of the spirit wood and forcibly plundering, the tree spirit is more like the true master of the spirit wood realm. A naked body gradually appeared in front of Li Fan. The intensity of the aura emanating from it is also slowly increasing. Almost in an instant, it surpassed Li Fan's golden core realm. 831. Spiritual Wood World Heavenly Way. Li Fan subconsciously moved back slightly. Only by using the heart of the spirit wood to ensure that he still controlled the power of life and death over the spirit tree did he relax a little. The tree spirit's pressure continued to rise. Nascent soul, transformation spirit. It didn't stop slowly until it was comparable to the Tao integration stage. The giant tree life form, it is equivalent to the heavenly Tao of the spirit wood realm. If the heavenly Tao truly has sentience, the cave heaven is comparable to the nascent soul stage. Small worlds vary between transformation spirit and Tao integration stage depending on their size. Originally, with the foundation of the spirit wood realm, it would have been almost impossible to give birth to a tree spirit with Tao integration strength. However, with Shang Tianxi constantly transporting the profound yellow wonder into it, it has achieved a certain degree of promotion. It's like Mr. Bai previously creating a miniature profound yellow realm with his bare hands. However, Shang Tianxi is using a method of pure replication. While Li Fan was pondering, the green light spots gathered from all directions had stopped gathering. A body almost identical to a human appeared before his eyes. Curvaceous and exquisite, like the treefolk patriarch, its external characteristics were female. Li Fan glanced at it, his mind moved slightly, and through the heart of the spirit wood, he put clothes on her. The tree spirit did not resist. Instead, she curiously examined the clothes that suddenly appeared on her body. Although her eyes looked somewhat innocent, she was definitely not ignorant. A being born of nature, and inheriting all the memories of the spirit tree, what she lacked compared to ordinary cultivators was just the experience of interacting with people. Although her strength is already above mine, because I refined the heart of the spirit wood early on, she is still under my control. Thinking this in his heart, the tree spirit knelt gracefully before him at his whim. A Tao integration cultivator kneeling to a golden core cultivator is an extremely humiliating thing no matter where it is placed. However, the tree spirit did not show the slightest anger. Master, she said to Li Fan naturally. The creation of heaven and earth is inherently pure. It won't be as cunning as humans. Especially at the time of birth, she will not hide her emotions. After Li Fan discerned that the tree spirit's surrender was her true thought, he nodded secretly. Now that you have transformed into human form, you should have a name of your own. From now on, you shall be called Lin Ling. As he spoke, Li Fan pointed in the air, touching Lin Ling's brow. After a moment, a red mark appeared between her eyebrows. Thank you, Master. Having her own name made Lin Ling very happy, and she thanked Li Fan again, repeating it in her mouth. She doesn't yet have the concept of respect for strength, so even if she calls me, who is weak, Master, she won't have any dissatisfaction or resistance. It's hard to say as she grows and comes into contact with more worldly affairs. However, breaking the constraints of the heart of the spirit wood is not an easy task. Li Fan carefully sensed the faint connection between himself and Lin Ling, thinking thoughtfully. For the next period of time, Lin Ling demonstrated to Li Fan her strength as the embodiment of the heavenly Tao within the spirit wood realm. She could mobilize all the power of the small world at will, and always in the most efficient form. With her help, Shang Tianxi's transportation process became several times easier at once. Lin Ling didn't feel it was a chore, but instead had a lot of fun playing. That innocent and pure expression immediately deeply attracted the young man Shang Tianxi. As the embodiment of the heavenly Tao, Lin Ling's appearance naturally didn't need to be said. A perfect face, without any flaws. Every frown and smile exuded a different kind of charm. Shang Tianxi stared straight at her, unable to bear to look away. Senior, Lin Ling finished her work, and after Li Fan told her to go play elsewhere, Shang Tianxi found Li Fan. He stammered, his face flushed. Haha, work hard. Li Fan patted Shang Tianxi's shoulder forcefully, revealing a meaningful smile. He didn't give any promises, but it made Shang Tianxi feel like he had been injected with chicken blood in an instant. Senior, the profound yellow wonder contained in my heavenly scenery gourd is almost completely replicated. So I want to go to the profound yellow realm again to record some other things. It just so happens that I can try to persuade some other people from the mountain and river pavilion to come over, he volunteered. Seeing that he was so conscientious, how could Li Fan refuse? However, to be on the safe side, he still gave him a jade pendant as a medium for performing formless killing intent. Only then did he let him leave. Calculating the time, he had been leaving the 5 old ones hanging for long enough. Li Fan also slowly left the spirit wood realm. What he didn't expect was that seeing him go out, Lin Ling also wanted to go with him. You can leave here. Li Fan couldn't help but be a little surprised. Master, don't worry, it's no problem. Lin Ling nodded vigorously. However, it may not be as free outside as it is at home, she added. A free Tao integration thug, Li Fan naturally agreed immediately. When the two arrived in the profound yellow realm, Li Fan observed her changes as soon as possible. After all, she is still affected to some extent, and her actual combat power is a bit worse than a true Tao integration cultivator. However, she is still much stronger than an ordinary transformation spirit cultivator. Li Fan nodded secretly. Taking Lin Ling, he flew towards the direction of Nine Mountain State. Before flying for long, Lin Ling suddenly asked, "Master, why don't we go underground? Flying in the sky is so slow." Li Fan was slightly stunned. "Underground? What do you mean?" Lin Ling widened her eyes and looked at Li Fan. She opened her mouth, wanting to explain. But she couldn't squeeze out a suitable adjective for a long time. After a while, she slapped her head and transmitted a picture to Li Fan's mind. Almost instantly, Li Fan understood what Lin Ling meant. The power of the earth veins. You can use the power of the earth veins to travel. He couldn't help but ask. "Master, can't you?" Lin Ling was a little surprised. Seeing Li Fan fall silent, Lin Ling pondered for a moment, and then comforted him. "It's okay, Master. I seem to be able to take you with me." Sensing it, Lin Ling didn't seem to be lying. Li Fan hesitated for a moment, and slowly nodded. "Then let's try." "Okay, Master. Hold on to me." Seeing Li Fan agree, Lin Ling looked very excited. A layer of green light Zhao appeared on her body, grabbing Li Fan. Then she suddenly done into the ground from the sky. Li Fan's vision went black at first. Then it was like falling into a rushing river, surrounded by surging earthy yellow energy. The huge pressure even made Li Fan feel a little suffocated. But Lin Ling seemed to be in her element, not only being able to move freely. She even seemed to be able to draw strength from the endless power of the earth veins to strengthen herself. Shouting all the way, moving along the earth veins. In less than half a cup of tea, the two had already arrived in Nine Mountain State. 832. 3 Ancient Trees of Xuanwang. That's too fast. Li Fan was quite surprised. Traveling from the Spirit Wood World to Nine Mountains Prefecture almost meant traversing half of Stone Plume Prefecture. At the normal flying speed of a nascent soul cultivator, it would take at least 5 or 6 days. If Lin Ling were to carry Li Fan through the sky, it would probably take half a day. But by using the power of the earth veins, they had arrived almost instantaneously. More importantly, they moved silently underground. Currently, the Myriad Immortals Alliance and the Five Old Ones Society were in a state of confrontation. The border between Stone Plume Prefecture and Nine Mountains Prefecture was heavily guarded. However, when Li Fan and Lin Ling passed through, they did not attract the attention of either side. The power of the earth veins is pure and exclusive. It seems that the Xuanwang world has not yet found a way to safely traverse within the earth veins. Li Fan recalled the various knowledge he had searched about the earth veins and pondered to himself. After arriving at Nine Mountains Prefecture, the flow of the earth veins seemed to be blocked by something. It suddenly changed from rapid to gentle. Li Fan also sensed uncomfortable emotions from Lin Ling. So he signaled her to return to the ground. Before drilling out of the ground, Li Fan carefully observed his surroundings to make sure there was no one else around before emerging from the earth. "The aura here makes me feel so uncomfortable." Lin Ling frowned slightly. Nine Mountains Prefecture is formed from the corpse of an ancient beast. It is normal for you to feel slightly repelled by it. Li Fan explained roughly. Such a large place is transformed from a corpse. Lin Ling's eyes widened. Then its strength before death must have been extremely terrifying. No wonder even Senior is restricted here. Lin Ling muttered. Senior. Li Fan's heart suddenly jumped. Yes, being able to run so fast underground just now was thanks to Senior's help. Lin Ling said innocently. As she spoke, she took out a twig and showed off proudly. Master, look, this is a gift from Senior. Li Fan couldn't help but narrow his eyes slightly. The twig was withered and yellow, but it was different from the appearance of being devoid of vitality. It was caused by the perennial immersion of the power of the earth veins. From it, one could still sense the vigorous and powerful power of the earth veins surging. Li Fan had seen this twig once before. It was during his 115th life, at Examen Yu's cave in Yueyang Prefecture. The earth vein tree. He immediately remembered Examen Yu's speculation about the origin of this tree. Back then, Ruamu was severely injured by cultivators, and some huge trunks fell off its body and fell to the world. After many years of reproduction, they each re-evolved into different ancient trees. This earth vein tree was one of them. Growing upside down, the roots of the ancient tree spread all over the Xuanwang world. How did you communicate with that, Senior? Li Fan asked, looking at Lin Ling. Lin Ling tilted her head and glanced at Li Fan. She didn't seem to understand the meaning of Li Fan's words. After a while, she simply transmitted the entire process of her communication with the earth vein ancient tree to Li Fan. The communication between ancient trees is different from that of humans. Almost the moment they reached the earth veins, the two had already sensed and connected with each other. And in a very short time, they completed the exchange of information. The earth vein ancient tree showed great affection for Lin Ling, a newly born junior. Not only did it not attack her, but it also took the initiative to help her. At the same time, from the earth vein ancient tree, Lin Ling also learned about the other ancient trees in the Xuanwang world. First of all, there was Ruomu, the oldest in the world and the ancestor of all spirits. The earth vein ancient tree did not tell Lin Ling his name. It only told Lin Ling that the mother tree's temperament had changed drastically and was capricious. Even as a tree spirit of the same kind, he would not look at them differently. On the contrary, it was possible to devour these scattered ancient trees to nourish itself. They should stay away from it as much as possible. Then there were two existences of the same level as the earth vein ancient tree. They were the strongest ones that broke away from Ruomu back then. One was the myriad spirit ancient tree and the other was the celestial flower ancient tree. Although the two came from the same source, they took completely opposite paths. The myriad spirit ancient tree chose to reproduce itself as much as possible, scattering countless branches in the world. Even if it suffered a disaster, as long as one survived, given enough time, it could grow back. The celestial flower ancient tree, however, took the path of all laws return to one, constantly shrinking and refining itself, thinking of one day, being able to return to the existence of Ruomu. Some fragments of information about the myriad spirit ancient tree and the celestial flower ancient tree flashed through Li Fan's mind. What surprised him was that he had actually come into contact with both of them in his reincarnation experiences here. The branches of the myriad spirit ancient tree were the materials that Zhao Shuyuan used to refine his clones. Spreading branches and leaves, all over Xuanwang. It vaguely coincides with fellow Taoist Zhao's myriad puppets Dao. I just don't know what is the relationship between Zhao Shuyuan himself and the myriad spirit ancient tree. As for the celestial flower ancient tree, Li Fan had only met it once. That was the human-faced tree he saw in the Qingfeng Hall, a lending organization on Myriad Immortals Island. During his 115th life, the Five Old Ones Society raided Myriad Immortals Island, wanting to relocate the entire island. At that time, the entire space was blocked, and communication and transmission methods were all ineffective. Li Fan still spent a lot of money to find out the way to escape from Zhao Shuyuan. It was through Qingfeng Hall that he successfully escaped the disaster. This human-faced tree is one of the celestial flower ancient tree's sub-bodies. Along with the spirit tree, that female voice. I don't know who it is. In addition to these two powerful ancient trees, the earth vein ancient tree also introduced Lin Ling to several weaker juniors. Like Lin Ling, they were all trees in the world that had given birth to their own intelligence. Most of them were hidden in the Xuanwang world's blessed lands and small worlds. The blessed lands and small worlds were attached to Xuanwang, so these spirit trees could also faintly connect with the earth vein ancient tree. However, Lin Ling was the first to be able to transform and walk out on her own. So the earth vein ancient tree was very excited. As for Lin Ling's situation of being under the control of a cultivator, this earth vein ancient tree didn't seem to care much. It only told Lin Ling that the spirit trees in the world each had their own fate. Just follow the thoughts deep in your heart to cultivate. Lin Ling, who had just been born, naturally understood little, but obediently agreed. Unexpectedly, so many things happened in an instant. And it happened completely without my awareness. Even if I can completely control Lin Ling, it is still the same. The methods of the ancient trees are truly mysterious and unpredictable. Fortunately, both this earth vein ancient tree and Lin Ling have relatively gentle personalities. Unlike Ruomu, who is very extreme. Otherwise, if they join forces to scheme against me behind my back, it's really hard to defend against. Li Fan sighed slightly. 833. Shocking the Five Elders Association. At the same time, Li Fan also understood why neither the Myriad Immortals Alliance nor the Five Old Ones could freely traverse the earth veins. It wasn't a technical limitation, but because traversing the earth veins would inevitably provoke attacks from the earth vein ancient trees. One must know that the three ancient trees still preserve the memory of Ruomu being besieged by cultivators back then. Although they didn't harbor the same extreme hatred towards cultivators as Ruomu did. Their attitude would definitely not be too friendly. They wouldn't actively seek trouble, but when cultivators tried to push their luck and take advantage, they would naturally resist. Li Fan was able to avoid attacks purely because the other party was giving face to Lin Ling. The earth vein ancient trees were rooted in the Xuanwang Great Earth. Moving one hair could affect the whole body. If one were to forcefully conquer them, it might lead to the collapse of the entire land. When that time came, countless cultivators would instantly die miserably. Moreover, with the existence of space teleportation technology, the demand for earth vein power wasn't particularly important. Therefore, both the Myriad Immortals Alliance and the Five Old Ones chose to turn a blind eye. In the future, communicate more with Senior, Li Fan said, looking at the earth vein branch in Lin Ling's hand, and instructed. This earth vein branch was far more precious than the withered branch that Examen you found in the earth vein spray. Besides allowing Lin Ling to grow faster, it could also be used to instantly reach any location covered by earth vein power. It was somewhat similar to Shang Tianxi's heavenly scenery gourd teleportation method. It's just that Shang Tianxi needed to collect the Xuanwang strange scenery into the gourd one by one. But the earth vein ancient tree had already spread its roots to every corner of the Xuanwang world. It's a pity that only Lin Ling can use it, Li Fan thought with regret. Lin Ling obediently integrated the earth vein branch into her chest. With the small interlude over, Li Fan proceeded to handle the main business. After first setting up a layer of protective formations around the area, he had Lin Ling hide temporarily. Then, he took out a jade talisman and crushed it. A special fluctuation instantly spread out, heading towards Nine Mountain State. Li Fan closed his eyes and waited. The Five Old Ones side had obviously been waiting for this fluctuation for a long time. Before long, several figures arrived swiftly. One of them was none other than Yu Dia, the Five Old Ones spy Li Fan had previously contacted. After not seeing him for a while, his own cultivation had actually jumped from the Golden Core realm to the mid-stage of the nascent Soul realm. Clearly, he had made great contributions with the information Li Fan had provided earlier and received rewards. He saw Li Fan's figure from afar, his face filled with joy. As he approached, he gestured for the people to his left and right to stop. He came forward alone to meet with Li Fan. Fellow Taoist, long time no see. Yu Dia cupped his hands and said. Li Fan sized up the other party and sneered, it seems the information provided by our Myriad Worlds United Association is somewhat useful. Fellow Taoist is too modest. It's more than just useful. Yu Dia chuckled. Speaking of which, your organization seemed to have secretly contributed to our successful occupation of Nine Mountain State last time. Helping twice in a row, yet not mentioning any conditions. A trace of doubt appeared on Yu Dia's face. It's just to gain the trust of your Five Old Ones, Li Fan said nonchalantly. I know that even now, there are still people within your Five Old Ones who believe that the so-called Myriad Worlds United Association is actually something the Myriad Immortals Alliance made up themselves. Sacrificing a little to deceive more. Upon hearing this, Yu Dia's face immediately showed some embarrassment. Suspicion is normal, but it doesn't matter. As our future cooperation becomes more in-depth, all distrust will vanish, Li Fan said with a gloomy laugh, his tone extremely confident. Yu Dia didn't pay attention to other details, but his eyes lit up when he heard Li Fan's mention of cooperation. And Li Fan didn't disappoint him. He casually threw over a jade slip. After Yu Dia received it, his eyelids twitched. But he couldn't suppress the ecstasy on his face. The content of the jade slip was none other than the flaws in the Myriad Mountains and Rivers formation that the Myriad Immortals Alliance had just recently changed. Another great achievement. Yu Dia was extremely excited in his heart. However, Li Fan's next sentence directly poured a bucket of cold water on him. Although we can provide you with the secrets of the Myriad Immortals Alliance's protective formations, and the Myriad Immortals Alliance's defenses will be like a mere formality to you, our Myriad Worlds United Association still doesn't recommend you launch a particularly large offensive now. Even if you can mobilize enough power in a short time to instantly destroy the Myriad Immortals Alliance's resistance, it's not advisable. Our suggestion is to wait a little longer, Li Fan said meaningfully. Why is that? Yu Dia couldn't help but feel puzzled. Li Fan didn't answer, but simply raised his index finger and pointed to the sky. Yu Dia was still somewhat at a loss. Go back and report my words. They will naturally understand what I mean, Li Fan said lightly. When the time is ripe, we will inform you. Yu Dia opened his mouth, but didn't refute anything. Li Fan threw another jade slip over. Our Myriad Worlds United Association has shown enough sincerity. Next, it's up to your 5 old ones to show your sincerity. Udaya checked the list of materials listed in the jade slip, and his heart couldn't help but pound wildly. These are a bit too much. You can just report it. As long as they're not stupid, I believe they will all agree. Li Fan's tone was extremely arrogant. Udaya inconspicuously glanced behind him. The 5 cultivators accompanying him were waiting for his orders. As long as he gave an order, they could instantly rush up and capture this mysterious cultivator in front of them. 4 nascent souls, 1 transformation god. The opponent is just a small golden core. No matter how you look at it, there's a great chance of winning. Udaya couldn't help but feel tempted. Just capture him, and then use secret methods to subvert him. Then we can know more secrets about that Myriad Worlds United Association. At that moment, Udaya was almost about to issue the order. However, he looked at Li Fan's gaze towards him, fearless and with a knowing smile. His heart tightened again. After thinking for a long time, Udaya ultimately gave up on this plan. The unpredictable aura on the other party was one of the reasons. The main reason was that the Myriad Worlds United Association, so far, had only been contacting the 5 old ones' side unilaterally. If something went wrong and led to a falling out with them, that would really outweigh the benefits. After all, materials have a price, but intelligence is priceless. In an instant, many thoughts flashed through Udaya's mind. In the end, he secretly sighed regretfully, cupped his hands, and said, "Fellow Taoist, come again in 7 days. I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer." "Good. I hope your 5 old ones don't do anything stupid. Otherwise, we may have to find new partners," Li Fan said, then clapped his hands. Lin Ling, who had been hiding all along, finally revealed her figure. Sensing the aura on Lin Ling's body, Udaya's pupils shrank violently. 834. The Magnificent 5 Caves. The faint pressure emanating from her made Udaya almost certain that she was a Tao Harmonization Realm cultivator. If he had chosen to attack just now, the ones who would have died would definitely have been him and his group. The thought of almost brushing shoulders with death caused cold sweat to break out on Udaya's forehead. This Myriad Realms union is indeed extremely treacherous. Sending a mere golden core cultivator to trade, yet having a Tao harmonization expert guarding them in the shadows, Udaya cursed inwardly. Fortunately, I was cautious enough. Just as he was about to salute Lin Ling, he saw a layer of green light enveloping the 2 of them. A moment later, their figures disappeared without a trace, leaving only the group from the 5 Elders' Council, still shaken, in their original spot. How did they leave? Did any of you see it? Udaya squinted his eyes, observing the surroundings, and then turned to ask. No spatial fluctuations. Even with extremely fast flight speed, there should still be traces left behind. To vanish without a trace in an instant. The group unanimously looked towards the ground. Earth veins. Udaya pondered for a moment, a solemn look appearing in his eyes. Once again traversing the surging earth veins, Lin Ling did not directly return to the Spirit Wood world. Instead, at Li Fan's suggestion, she hurried towards Heavenly Spirit Continent. Not long ago, Tianyong sent a message. He had already reached the vicinity of the 5 Elements' Great Grotto Heaven. He had not yet discovered any Myriad Immortals Alliance cultivators guarding the area. Li Fan told Tianyong to wait aside for now, and not to rush in. Half a day later, Lin Ling brought Li Fan to meet up with Tianyong. Lin Ling was very curious about the simple-minded Tianyong. However, Tianyong seemed to not even see Lin Ling, simply standing quietly beside Li Fan. Li Fan first observed the surrounding environment. The entrance to the 5 Elements' Great Grotto Heaven was still in a state where few cultivators would pass by. I wonder what kind of opportunity led to its discovery. Thinking this, Li Fan's movements were not slow at all. In his sea of consciousness, the disintegration disk emitted a shimmering white light. Li Fan first set up the open black lens bracket only hand covers the sky close black lens bracket secret technique on the periphery to prevent any leakage of aura. Then, he quickly set up the infinite formation derived by the disintegration disk, sealing the entrance. In fact, this was somewhat of a cover-up. It might even lead other cultivators to discover the abnormality here. If I don't do this, the 5 Elements' Great Grotto Heaven will definitely be discovered. With the arrangement, I can still buy some time. Moreover, with the infinite formation and the only hand covers the sky secret technique, I'm afraid even ordinary Tao harmonization cultivators, as long as they don't deliberately search carefully, shouldn't be able to discover it. As long as I can delay until my golden core is complete, and devour it. Thinking this, Li Fan quickly completed the arrangement, concealing the entrance to the Five Elements Grotto Heaven. Then, he led Lin Ling and Tian Yang into the Grotto Heaven. As soon as she entered this Grotto Heaven, Lin Ling seemed very surprised. Her gaze turned towards the wood attribute Grotto Heaven within. There was also a towering giant tree. If only in terms of size, it was probably even larger than Lin Ling's main body in the spirit wood world. Are there any of your predecessors there? Li Fan asked. Lin Ling observed for a while, and shook her head with some regret. At the same time, her expression was a little strange. According to what Earth Vane Sr. said, having grown so big, it should have awakened its own intelligence. It's so strange. Is something missing here? Hearing this, Li Fan was also thoughtful. The difference between a grotto heaven and a small world is not just the size. This Five Elements Great Grotto Heaven is much wider than Spirit Wood, even Great Zon and Leaving World. But it is still only within the scope of a grotto heaven. Li Fan carefully recalled the process of Mr. Bai creating a miniature Xuanwang world with his bare hands in his 115th life, understanding the specific dividing line between grotto heaven and small world. After some fruitless thinking, Li Fan could only put it aside for the time being. He didn't rush to explore this wood attribute grotto heaven, but instead searched for the traces of other grotto heavens. At this point in time, among the five elements, only the wood attribute grotto heaven is visible on the outside. The other metal, water, fire, and earth are all hidden. However, the five elements flow and are actually one. Moreover, I have personally witnessed the entire grotto heaven, so it shouldn't be difficult to find. Li Fan closed his eyes, his divine sense sweeping through the wood attribute grotto heaven. Tracing the changes in the wood attribute spiritual power in this world. Before long, he had already discovered the passages to the fire and water grotto heavens. But Li Fan did not enter directly. Instead, he searched for the passage and went to the outside of the void where the five major grotto heavens converged. Different from the vast navigation route he had experienced before, it had not yet been opened up by the Myriad Immortals Alliance. Not only were the passages narrow and difficult to find, but even the open black lens bracket void close black lens bracket outside the grotto heaven was only thinly shrouded. Li Fan simply transformed into a realm-splitting whale through the melting furnace myriad forms technique. Making the void slightly wider, making it easier to gain a foothold. After a lot of effort, Li Fan finally witnessed the full picture of the five elements great grotto heaven again. Five rings that seem to be connected end to end, are like a mixed palette of paint. Because it had not yet been excessively exploited and excavated by the Myriad Immortals Alliance, the grotto heaven was still full of vitality. Looking down at several grotto heavens from afar, he could even vaguely sense their thick aura as if they were one. Tisk tisk, this scene is completely different from what I saw before, which was ravaged by the Myriad Immortals Alliance. It's just that I still don't know what the Myriad Immortals Alliance did when they mobilized the masses and almost emptied this five elements grotto heaven in that life. However, if I am forced to a dead end in this life, maybe I will have a chance to see it. Li Fan stood and admired it for a long time before flying back to the wood attribute grotto heaven. By the way, he also widened the passage again. Only then did Li Fan and his group have the opportunity to carefully observe the full picture of the wood attribute grotto heaven. A huge tree whose crown almost occupied 1/3 of the sky immediately came into view. It was full of oppression. Even Lin Ling seemed to feel a trace of discomfort. Strangely, although the spirit tree occupied most of the space in the wood attribute grotto heaven, it did not encroach on the survival of other living beings. Instead, it released strands of rich vitality, nurturing the surroundings. The closer one was to the spirit tree, the more vitality it released. Almost forming a faint green mist. Thousands of different kinds of plants competed to bloom. Even though he was well versed in the open black lens bracket celestial medical immortal scripture close black lens bracket, Li Fan couldn't name most of them with a sweep of his gaze. Therefore, Li Fan finally understood what the heavenly mystery mirror announcement meant when it mentioned the wood attribute grotto heaven, saying, "This grotto heaven is extremely large, the wood attribute spiritual energy is extremely high. All kinds of spiritual plants and herbs are extremely abundant." At this moment, this grotto heaven belonged to Li Fan. Compared to my nascent five elements grotto heaven in the previous life, the resources are much richer. I really don't know how much time the Xuanwang world took to nurture it. 835. See you again, Senior Sister Zhao. Compared to it, the previous life's Medicine King Valley was simply insignificant. Just this wood attribute blessed land alone could support the rise of a major power. Not to mention, there are also the other 4 attribute blessed lands. Arriving in the Xuanwang world ahead of time and intercepting Li Fan, whom the Myriad Immortals Alliance had discovered, he felt quite pleased with himself. After roughly touring around, he went to the fire, earth, metal, and water blessed lands in succession. Li Fan had stayed in the water attribute blessed land for a long time. But only now did Li Fan realize that what he had seen back then was almost the scene after it had been emptied. Unlike now, beneath the vibrant ocean, countless fish thrived and survived. Countless water attribute spiritual medicines and spiritual mines filled the entire sea area. Even the well-informed Li Fan couldn't help but exclaim in amazement. The metal attribute blessed land was a vast and boundless underground world, filled with various rare mineral veins and metallic life forms. The fire attribute blessed land was similar to the fire world on the back of the Great Li dynasty. However, it was not as violent. The earth attribute world was a continuous mountain range. Li Fan took a quick tour, and while he was satisfied, a question arose spontaneously. That was, these 5 elements blessed lands were simply too large. If he wanted to devour them with his golden core cultivation and achieve the nascent soul realm, I'm afraid it would be almost impossible without 3 to 5 years. This was under the premise that no one else discovered it, he wouldn't be disturbed. And the 5 elements blessed lands themselves would not resist. In fact, when the scale reached the level of the 5 elements blessed lands, even if it did not yet belong to the level of a small world. But it was almost no different from a world. Li Fan still clearly remembered that when they wanted to set up the heavenly profound spirit locking formation covering all the blessed lands again before, they were met with fierce resistance from the blessed land's consciousness, generating countless bizarre and endless monsters to launch attacks. Even with Lin Ling protecting him, he might not be able to handle it. Having too big of an appetite is also a problem. Li Fan couldn't help but frown slightly. Although it was a bit difficult, Li Fan would definitely not give up on these 5 elements blessed lands. His own cultivation was irrelevant. The most important thing was not to let the Myriad Immortals Alliance get it, so as not to add unnecessary variables to the battle situation in this world. While I haven't reached the golden core completion stage yet, I'll think of a way. If it really doesn't work, I can only take my time. Li Fan continued to stay in the 5 elements blessed lands for a few more days. It wasn't until the time agreed upon with the 5 Elders Association was approaching that Li Fan left. With 2 Dao harmonization helping out, I can try to transfer the entrance to the 5 elements blessed lands. However, the movement is too big, and there is a risk of being discovered by the Myriad Immortals Alliance. Li Fan thought to himself before leaving, after reconcealing the entrance. Still with the help of Lin Ling, shuttling through the earth veins. Soon the 3 of them returned to Nine Mountains State silently. When leaving the earth veins, Li Fan also felt a very rare emotion of reluctance coming from Tianyang. Tianyang created his puppet body with the earth fire returning origin formation. It seems that the power of the earth veins is a bit special to him. I can let Lin Ling take him around more. The power of the earth veins in the Xuanwang world is so strong, it seems that the ancient earth vein tree wouldn't mind taking advantage of it, right? Thinking like this, Li Fan instructed Lin Ling. Lin Ling still had a good impression of Tianyang and immediately agreed. Arriving at another location, Li Fan once again crushed the jade talisman, releasing a wave. Not long after, Yu Dia arrived in a hurry. This time he didn't mobilize the masses, and with him was only one other person. And the moment he saw the other party, Li Fan's heart instantly sounded an alarm. He had clearly never met him before, but from the other party, Li Fan felt a very familiar aura. The answer was obvious, the other party was a member of One Heart to All, Senior Sister Zhao. However, at this time, Senior Sister Zhao did not come as a woman, but as an extremely handsome young man of only 15 or 16 years old. This must be the fellow Taoist from the Myriad Worlds United Association, right? He looked at Li Fan and asked with a smile. His eyes swept over Li Fan, almost trying to see all his secrets. Li Fan's heart trembled, but he was not flustered. Senior Sister Zhao had many bodies, and the one in front of him was only at the transformation god realm. Moreover, even the heavenly venerate who imparted the Dharma could not know everything. So Li Fan was not worried that his secrets would be seen through at a glance. Calming his thoughts, after thinking for a moment, Li Fan narrowed his eyes and directly chose to checkmate. To actually attract the heavenly Venerate himself. What an honor. He showed a strange smile and stared at senior sister Zhao. The smile on the young man's face instantly froze. At this time, he truly looked at Li Fan seriously. And Yu Deya, who was beside him, didn't seem to know the true identity of the cultivator beside him. After hearing Li Fan's words, he was slightly stunned and a little confused. But after all, he was a cultivator born and raised in the Five Elders Association, and after only a moment, he reacted. He suddenly turned his head and looked at the playful smile on the young man's face, his expression stiffened. His body also trembled uncontrollably. Oh dear, I've been seen through. That's really interesting. It seems that you guys from the Myriad Worlds United Association really have some skills. I wonder, would you welcome me to join? The young man chuckled. His tone was like that of a charming woman, full of seduction. It should have made people feel creepy, but Li Fan didn't feel uncomfortable at all. Actually, I also want to join the Heavenly Venerate's Great Tao sect. Li Fan quickly and unceremoniously returned the attack. Senior Sister Zhao was not annoyed, but instead laughed charmingly. It's not impossible for us to merge. Yu Deya was sweating profusely as he listened from the side, his legs weak. He only hated that he was not deaf and heard the Heavenly Venerate's unrestrained conversation. At the same time, he had already listed the Myriad Worlds United Association and Li Fan as the most untouchable levels. Li Fan laughed awkwardly, avoiding the answer. He just changed the subject and asked about the main business. Where is what we need? Senior Sister Zhao threw over a Void Spirit Stone Mother. Li Fan skillfully took it and checked it, and it was exactly the same as the list he provided. He put it away. Aren't you afraid that I've tampered with it? Senior Sister Zhao suddenly said in a faint tone. Senior Sister, you are upright and above board, you are not the kind of person who would do such a thing. Li Fan replied. Senior Sister Zhao's face changed completely at this time. Seeing that Senior Sister has shown herself in person, I will provide you with a top secret piece of information for free. Prasanna leaves can be used to make divine boats. Shuttle through the white mist and avoid the side effects of the devouring yuan white mist. Li Fan transmitted the sound. Then, without waiting for the other party to respond, a green light enveloped him, and he disappeared on the spot. Yu Deya didn't dare to move. A daughter's heart is hard to guess. Only Senior Sister Zhao's chuckle remained, which soon sounded. 836. Solve the storm with a skillful hand. Although Li Fan said he believed that Senior Sister Zhao would never do anything underhanded, he did not return directly to the Spirit Wood world after leaving Nine Mountain State. Instead, he quietly returned to the Kongyan Sea. Except for treasures containing heavenly venerable power, such as the true temptation fruit, he gave all other conventional resources to his clone, Ji Shaoli. He planned to use the heavenly mystery mirror to launder these items, sell them and then buy them back. To remove any traces that might be on them. He didn't even leave behind the priceless emptiness stone mother, which could be used to refine spatial magic treasures. Doing so would cost him some contribution points, but it was worth it to reduce the risk of being targeted by the Eternal Life Heavenly Venerable. Of course, as the Myriad Immortals Alliance and the Five Elders Council were currently at war, it might take Ji Shaoli some time to launder this batch of resources so as not to arouse suspicion. However, with the help of the other members of the Kongyan Sea Mutual Aid Society, the process wouldn't be too slow. As for those treasures containing the power of heavenly venerables, involving the power of other heavenly venerables, it won't be so easy for Senior Sister Zhao to tamper with them. These were pure creations of the law, and Li Fan had come into contact with them in his previous life. After carefully experiencing them and confirming that there should be no problems, he finally felt relieved. Despite Li Fan appearing relaxed and at ease during the transaction, when Senior Sister Zhao's voice echoed in his mind, images of him and his senior sister being intimate in the illusion uncontrollably emerged. Fortunately, Li Fan had a strong will and possessed the heart-refining secret art. He suppressed these fantasies in time, which prevented any mistakes. He even turned the tables, inadvertently revealing that he was very familiar with the Myriad Hearts as one great Tao sect. Creating a false impression, causing Senior Sister Zhao to become suspicious and reduce the charm she was unconsciously emitting. This allowed Li Fan to finally gain the upper hand. As expected of the Eternal Life Heavenly Venerable, even just one of his bodies requires my full effort, Li Fan couldn't help but sigh slightly. He separated some worry-free crystal lattice and humane stardust and left them on Haizan Island. A month later, the members of the Mutual Aid Society completed the laundering of most of the resources. Only then did Li Fan return to the Spirit Wood world with Lin Ling and Tian Yang. During their stay on the island, Pei Tuo, Shang Xin, and others were fortunate enough to catch a glimpse of Lin Ling and Tian Yang. Even without deliberately showing their strength, the faint pressure they exuded still shocked the members of the Mutual Aid Society. They became even more convinced that the Mutual Aid Society was a vast and powerful organization. The Kangyan branch was just newly established. While secretly rejoicing that they were among the first to join the Kangyan Mutual Aid Society, they also became more loyal to the Mutual Aid Society. Also during this month, the Five Elders Council seemed to have taken Li Fan's advice before parting and comprehensively eased their offensive. The border war gradually ceased. However, the Five Elders Council did not idle because of this. Various rumors suddenly began to appear in the states of the Myriad Immortals Alliance. Although they were all old stories, they stirred up unrest within the Immortal Alliance. For example, a leader of the martial arts hall in Heavenly Authority state killed an ordinary cultivator out of personal grudges. According to the Immortal Alliance's laws, he should have been dismissed and investigated. But this matter dragged on, and then there was no news. The public gradually forgot about it. Recently, someone reminded them, and they realized that this martial arts hall leader had been doing well all these years. He was only lightly punished with a deduction in salary. For example, a commissioner of the Political Affairs Hall in Utai State neglected his duties during his term of office. This led to a natural disaster that could have been avoided. Hundreds of cultivators were implicated and died tragically. The commissioner was dismissed at the time. Who would have thought that today, after being reminded, the public discovered that after only a year, this commissioner had changed his appearance and taken on a new position in Heavenly U State. His position had not decreased but increased. All sorts of old cases like this suddenly erupted. Even Li Fan had never heard of most of them. They were dark secrets that had been forgotten by history. But at this moment, driven by some force, they suddenly revived. The Immortal Alliance cultivators were naturally extremely indignant. Although there were no disharmonious events yet, in various places, there were already heretical remarks circulating in secret, such as, "The Immortal Alliance is corrupt and not worth our lives," and, "I go to die, you come to enjoy. Might as well perish together." The Immortal Alliance attached great importance to this situation and ordered strict investigations in various states. But how could the mouths of the people be so easily stopped? Not only did the situation not improve, but it also showed a worsening trend. And the dragging tactic, which had always been effective, seemed to have suddenly lost its effect. 7 days, 15 days, a month. As time passed, the impact of the previous negative news had not yet been eliminated. New past dark events were exposed in various places. Suddenly, the Myriad Immortals Alliance became a little overwhelmed. The clone, Ji Shaoli, collected and sorted out these black materials, as if he had found a treasure, and kept them firmly in his heart. I didn't expect the Five Elders Council to have this trick up their sleeve. But they are all good things that money can't buy. Frequent forgetting can indeed constantly suppress negative emotions. But conversely, if these forgotten memories, because of some opportunity, suddenly emerge and erupt in a short period of time, then the damage it will bring is quite terrible. No less than 1,000,000 soldiers. Well, perhaps this is also related to the worry-free Heavenly Venerable's temporary slowdown of the forgetting power covering the territory of the Myriad Immortals Alliance. These are all methods I can use to reproduce and attack the Myriad Immortals Alliance in the future. I need to study hard. Ji Shaoli praised the surprise that the Five Elders Council brought him. A month and a half after the incident broke out, the Myriad Immortals Alliance finally made a move to respond. The response was also beyond Li Fan's expectations. But after a little taste, he couldn't help but applaud. This move is brilliant. There are capable people within the Myriad Immortals Alliance. The Myriad Immortals Alliance's move was very simple. There was no coercion of cultivators or prohibition of discussing related topics. Just a simple message, proclaiming to the world. The next Immortal Alliance entrance examination will be held 6 months earlier. In order to cope with the fierce offensive of the Five Elders Council, the number of recruits this time will increase by 50% compared to previous years. As soon as the news came out, the world shook. Everyone hates privilege, and everyone wants to become a privilege. Those circulating black materials are complaints about injustice. But they are also excellent propaganda materials. Do you want to be a victim in the incident, or a superior person? If you are interested, then come and take the exam. The number of admissions has increased by almost half, and the chances are also increasing steadily. All the Immortal Alliance cultivators were eager to try. The storm will subside on its own. 837. Everything is flourishing. The cultivators no longer discussed those exposed dark secrets. After hearing them so often, they had grown accustomed to them. Instead, they busily gathered information about the content of past Immortal Alliance entrance exams. They were eager to try, vowing to become members of the Immortal Alliance system. A crisis that could have led to internal strife was thus quietly quelled. The means of resolving it were so clever that even half a month later, Li Fan couldn't help but review it and secretly marvel. With a wave of the hand, a crisis is dispelled without a trace. All that's needed is a single announcement. Li Fan sincerely admired this. After all, he couldn't think of a better solution. The entrance exam in half a year is so grand. How could I not go and get a piece of the pie? However, although this life hasn't started long ago, its trajectory has already begun to deviate significantly. Those exam questions should have changed as well. Thinking this, information about past entrance exam questions that he had collected flashed through Li Fan's mind. There's a common thread running through them all. Although I can't predict the exact questions, it's not difficult to create a rough question bank. He casually took out a blank jade slip, and the crystallized stone of doubt transformation in his mind suddenly burst with a blue light. Then, massive amounts of data flooded into the jade slip. It took a full cup of tea's time to finish transferring it all. The middle-grade stone of doubt transformation is indeed much more efficient. Its computing power has directly increased by more than double. Li Fan ran his finger across the smooth surface of the jade slip and nodded with satisfaction. The stone of doubt transformation had finally been upgraded, thanks not only to his persistent fusion in Yi Yin's tomb in each reincarnation. The lower-grade stone of doubt transformation provided by the 5 old ones in this transaction was also crucial. Although it was also lower grade, this one was of much better quality than the one in Yi Yin's tomb. It was almost infinitely close to being middle grade. After devouring it, the one in Li Fan's sea of consciousness immediately leapt to middle grade. It's a pity that the 5 old ones were only willing to provide one. They were even willing to give more creations of the celestial Venerable, but not any more stones of doubt transformation. Could it be that they also have special uses for them? Li Fan frowned and pondered, but after a moment, he was relieved. Although the creations of the celestial Venerable are extremely precious, they can be repeatedly produced after all. Compared to the stone of doubt transformation, which becomes rarer with each use, it's hard to say which is more valuable. The Immortal Alliance entrance exam question bank. I should be able to trade this for some more. Whether it's taking the opportunity to plant spies or choosing to sabotage, there's much to be gained. Li Fan secretly calculated in his heart. TNC. After a moment, he called out. A figure flashed, and Shang TNC immediately came to Li Fan's side, fawning. With Lin Ling's presence, the passionate youth who had already been successfully brainwashed by Li Fan was now even more obedient to Li Fan. He tried every means to show himself. The previous outing to scout locations was no longer like sightseeing. Instead, he quickly toured the required scenic spots and rushed back without stopping. It was fortunate that he could teleport through the heavenly scenery gourd, otherwise such a long journey in such a short time would have exhausted him to death. Even though he had worked so hard, the arrival of Tianyong still made him feel an immense sense of crisis. Compared to the somewhat talkative Shang Tianxi, who constantly offered his services, Lin Ling was more interested in the wooden block like Tianyong. This made Shang Tianxi extremely anxious. He had no choice but to try to please Li Fan in a roundabout way to salvage the situation. Senior, what are your instructions? Li Fan threw the jade slip in his hand over. Make 100 copies of this jade slip first. All right. Thinking it wasn't a difficult task, Shang Tianxi immediately agreed. However, when he took it and carefully examined the contents of the jade slip, he first let out a cry of pain and covered his forehead. Then, he exclaimed, Senior, there's too much. If there wasn't, I would have copied it myself. What would I need you for? Li Fan snorted coldly. Remember, this is urgent. Give it to me within 7 days. Shang Tianxi's face was bitter, and looking at Li Fan's serious face, he didn't dare to resist. He gritted his teeth and went to work. Li Fan then looked at the tree people all over the spirit wood realm, working diligently. Unfortunately, it's clear that these tree people creations are not within the scope of the seated immortal art. Compared to when Li Fan first entered the spirit wood realm, the overall strength of these tree people had significantly improved. The most numerous group had grown from the early stage of chi refining to the equivalent of the late stage of chi refining. And tree people with foundation establishment and golden core stage strength had also emerged explosively. The tree person matriarch benefited the most. She was already able to fight ordinary nascent soul cultivators to a draw. Such obvious progress was due, on the one hand, to Shang Tianxi's constant transportation of Xuanwang wonders. More importantly, it was due to the treasure brought by the 5 Old Ones transaction, Heavenly Dew. This item was the treasure of the ancient Godwood sect, and it had unparalleled benefits for the plants of the world. Although there was only 1 drop, the spirit tree once again increased in size by half. The canopy had already reached the sky, and it looked as if it was about to pierce the sky. Lin Ling was also the biggest beneficiary of this transformation. From barely being considered a Dao integration combatant at birth to now being firmly in the Dao integration realm, only a month or so had passed. And considering that the ancient Earth Vein Tree Senior was also secretly taking care of her. It's really infuriating to compare people to each other. Even wanting to form my nascent soul requires a lot of effort. At the same time, Li Fan also vaguely felt that when resources were abundant to a certain extent, cultivating cultivators with a certain amount of combat power was also a very simple matter. The prominent families of the Immortal Alliance are definitely not as simple as they appear on the surface. Li Fan pondered for a moment, then refocused his attention on the tree people all over the world. Their tasks were roughly divided into 2 parts. One part was responsible for building the 10,000 Realms United Association building complex. And the other tree people were transporting various materials and placing them in designated locations throughout the spirit wood realm in preparation for array refinement. The so-called array refinement is a method of refining magic treasures. In addition to the conventional fire refinement and blood refinement, there is also this special method to completely refine a magic treasure. It is mostly used by array masters. Complex arrays are inscribed on the treasure. Not only can the treasure be completely taken for one's own use, but the power of the treasure itself can also be amplified with arrays. Li Fan was not very proficient in the art of weapon refinement, so naturally, it was impossible for him to learn weapon refinement from scratch just to refine a magic treasure. And since he possessed the treasure of the ending disintegration disc, array refinement was naturally the most suitable. However, the spirit wood realm had undergone several transformations. It had become much wider than an ordinary small world. If he wanted to successfully refine it, he would have to do it slowly. 838. Landslides and rises again. To be honest, building the headquarters of the 10,000 Realms Union to be truly magnificent and worthy of its name is not an easy task. Let alone the overall planning and how to successfully complete the construction of the continuous building complex. Just designing a building worthy of the name 10,000 Realms Union requires a lot of effort. Fortunately, Li Fan had previously presided over the reconstruction of Kongyun Sky City. He is quite experienced in this regard. He also had some exchanges with the architectural masters sent by the Immortal Alliance headquarters to provide support. So, to be fair, the blueprint designed by Li Fan himself is not too bad. But, Li Fan always felt that something was missing. After all, I'm a self-taught amateur, not a professional. It seems I need to find a reliable person to supervise this matter. Li Fan cannot stay in the spirit wood realm all the time. Now that Lin Ling's strength has greatly improved and she has received a lot of resources from the 5 Elders Council, it is time to consider Tian Yang's Dao integration plan. Even with the information from Mr. Bai, we have a detailed understanding of the information about the heaven and earth soul, but we cannot guarantee that everything will be safe, and we still have to bear considerable risks in plotting the heaven and earth soul. Naturally, the more thorough the preparation, the better. If Tian Yang succeeds in Dao integration, Li Fan will then consider formally devouring the 5 elements cave heaven and returning to the nascent soul realm. He is almost certain to be too busy to spare any time. So before that, he needs to find a reliable person to be responsible for the construction of the spirit wood realm. Numerous cultivators, information flashed through his mind in an instant. After a moment, Li Fan locked onto his target. Construction Master, O Daozi. Although he is only a transformation god cultivator, he has talents and insights into architectural design that others can never match. It is said that many buildings in the Immortal Alliance headquarters were designed by him. O'Dowsey's opinion was also sought during the renovation and restoration of the Immortal Alliance Sky City. However, later, he was dissatisfied with the Immortal Alliance forcibly erasing his memory after the blueprint design was completed. Therefore, he chose to retire to the mountains and forests, and no longer contribute to the myriad Immortal Alliance. Even without any official position, O'Dowsey is not someone that Li Fan can invite at this moment. So Li Fan plans to directly use the fruit of truthful enticement. O'Dowsey himself is not weak, and with his unique talent, it cannot be considered a waste. The only difficulty is how to coax and persuade him to swallow the fruit of truthful enticement. Li Fan, who is quite experienced in this, has prepared several plans to adapt to the circumstances. If it really doesn't work, he can only use force to persuade him. After staying in the Spirit Wood realm for a few more days, he collected the 100 Immortal Alliance entry exam question bank replicated by Shang Tianxi. Then he set off with Lin Ling and Tian Yang, still walking in the earth vein currents. I have to say, with Lin Ling, daily travel in the Xuanwang realm is indeed much more convenient. Half a day later, they reached their destination. Guanglin Prefecture, Resurrection Mountain. This prefecture is located in the south of the Immortal Alliance, relatively remote and not very prosperous. It is almost the same level as Kongyansi. But this Resurrection Mountain within its borders is quite famous. Originally, it was not called this name, but Embrace Origin Mountain. About 2 years ago, Guanglin Prefecture, which was originally calm, suddenly experienced an earthquake. Thousands of cultivators personally witnessed Embrace Origin Mountain collapsing in a huge roar. The phenomenon lasted for almost half a day, and I don't know how many cultivators in the mountain didn't have time to dodge and died tragically. Just as the cultivators were still in shock, something that made them dumbfounded happened. Under the gaze of countless cultivators, Embrace Origin Mountain, which had originally sunk into the ground and turned into a 10,000 jong abyss, actually reappeared under the shroud of a yellow light. The situation at that time was like a broken porcelain being restored, or like tea poured into a river returning to the bowl. As if time was flowing backwards, Embrace Origin Mountain, which had indeed turned into ruins, changed back. This kind of strange event is destined to cause a huge sensation. But because it is too mysterious, cultivators who have not witnessed it will not believe it at all. However, although the mountain reappeared, the impact of its collapse did not disappear. Those cultivators who died tragically in the mountain collapse, and the earth vein surge caused by the collapse of the mountain range, are indeed real. Therefore, after extensive investigation and demonstration, even if they didn't believe it, most cultivators accepted this fact. They became more and more curious about how this kind of strange event happened. The myriad Immortal Alliance is also the same. They sent out several investigation teams one after another, almost turning Embrace Origin Mountain upside down. But they still couldn't find the reason. As time slowly passed, the Immortal Alliance, which had made no progress, had to temporarily abandon the large-scale investigation. Only one investigator was left here to squat. From time to time, cultivators who accidentally heard about the events of that year came to visit and explore the truth. Because Embrace Origin Mountain also has a new name, Resurrection Mountain. But the scenery of Resurrection Mountain is indeed average, and there is nothing attractive about it. Over time, fewer and fewer people came. Gradually forgotten. Li Fan had also taken the time to travel here during his previous reincarnations. But he didn't find anything unusual either. If it weren't for O'Dowsey this time, he wouldn't have revisited this old place. After inquiring about the other party's specific residence, Li Fan and his party went straight to Resurrection Mountain. But when they arrived, they found that the thatched cottage in the mountain was already empty. Li Fan couldn't help but frown slightly. Scanning the thatched cottage with his divine sense and carefully observing the traces, Li Fan found that the other party had just left not long ago. Moreover, in addition to O'Dowsey, there seemed to be traces of another person living there. It's a child, it should be O'Dowsey's son. After recalling the information, Li Fan made a judgment. But leaving in such a hurry? Are they avoiding some enemy? Li Fan touched his chin. Master, are you looking for the people in this thatched cottage? I can find them. Just as Li Fan was a little confused, Lin Ling took the initiative to say. Oh, what method do you have? Li Fan became interested. He had just tried it, and O'Dowsey had deliberately erased his own traces to prevent being tracked. There are many trees in the mountain, just ask them. Lin Ling said shyly. After obtaining Li Fan's approval, Lin Ling excitedly began to cast her spell. In an instant, specks of green light surged from all over Resurrection Mountain. As if forming a green river of light, it drilled into Lin Ling's body. I see them. Not long after, Lin Ling happily clapped her hands and flew away. Li Fan and Tian Yang followed closely behind. A bit interesting, not escaping through the Sky City teleportation array. Instead, escaping into the wilderness. Is it panic-stricken, or? Following the other party's escape trajectory, Li Fan's original indifferent attitude became truly interested. 839. Reverse the order of heaven and earth. About half a cup of tea's time later, Li Fan and his companions located a hiding spot within a cave at the bottom of a deep valley. The entrance was concealed by a formation, and their presence masked by a secret technique. Even if ordinary cultivators were to search diligently, they would find it difficult to discover the entrance. However, before Li Fan, who possessed the open black lens bracket final dissolution disc close black lens bracket, and Lin Ling, for whom all the trees in the mountains served as eyes and ears, such measures were full of loopholes. Yet, to Li Fan's further surprise, the cave was still empty. They had clearly fled not long ago, their aura still lingering. Li Fan couldn't help but narrow his eyes. This is. Are they hiding from me? Are they able to know in advance that I'm coming to find them? Is it prophecy, or perhaps? Li Fan suddenly recalled the collapse and reappearance of Mount Fuxing. Time reversal. The moment this conjecture appeared, Li Fan's heart couldn't help but beat violently. But having experienced so much, he quickly regained his composure. It's just a guess, not necessarily true. To know the truth, I need to capture the father and son duo first. Driven by a long-lost sense of excitement, Li Fan looked at Lin Ling again. Lin Ling, however, looked around for a while and shook her head. They haven't left this cave. Hearing this, Li Fan carefully examined the surroundings again. There are no signs of spatial teleportation either. Could it be? Li Fan and Lin Ling simultaneously looked towards the ground. A hint of a smile appeared on the corner of Li Fan's mouth as he lazily instructed, "We pursue." Lin Ling nodded, enveloped in green light, and burrowed into the earth. Logically, the underground is dark and without light, making it difficult to distinguish directions. It would be easy to shake off pursuers. But unfortunately, Li Fan's group included Lin Ling, who could connect with the ancient earth vein tree. Although the underground space was vast, it was all the territory of the ancient earth vein tree. Their every move could not escape its watchful eyes. Guided by the directions, Li Fan and the others quickly found traces of their movements. However, Li Fan also discovered that they had only traveled a short distance underground before hurriedly returning to the surface. So they discovered we were pursuing them again. How troublesome. Thinking this, he returned to the ground again. This time, Lin Ling sensed that Odaozi and his son had escaped into the air. Unfortunately, the art of flying was bound to leave behind fluctuations of spiritual energy. Soon, Lin Ling found the direction of their escape. Bringing Li Fan along, she closely followed. No matter how Odaozi and his son changed their direction of travel or laid down smokescreens, they could not escape Lin Ling's tracking. Finally, Odaozi and his son seemed to give up struggling and stopped fleeing. They stood quietly in the clouds ahead, waiting. This little Lin Ling is really useful. Finally catching up, Li Fan couldn't help but sigh inwardly as he looked at the figures of the two people, one large and one small, in front of him. I wonder what matter Senior is pursuing so earnestly? Odaozi asked, cupping his fist respectfully but without subservience, as he faced the surrounded Li Fan and his companions. Originally, it was just that construction had started at home, and I wanted to ask you for a favor. Unexpectedly, there was an unexpected gain. Li Fan narrowed his eyes, his gaze sweeping back and forth between the two. Odaozi's son was only 8 or 9 years old. His appearance couldn't be considered handsome, but facing Li Fan, who was faintly releasing a baleful aura, he was not afraid at all. He possessed a certain demeanor. Especially his eyes, which stared fiercely at Li Fan. As if there was some deep blood feud between them. Clearly, the two had never met each other before, yet he acted in such a manner. It seemed to further confirm the conjecture in Li Fan's heart. Odaozi also noticed the abnormality of his son, and his expression changed. He blocked his son behind him. I don't understand what you're saying. Li Fan snorted coldly. The collapse of Mount Fuxing, and its subsequent reappearance. It must be your son's doing, right? What exactly is his ability? Could it be the legendary art of time reversal? Although Li Fan's appearance was only that of a golden core cultivator, Lin Ling and Tian Yang, one a Dao harmonization expert and the other a transformation god expert, both followed his lead. Odaozi couldn't fathom Li Fan's true cultivation level, and only said, "Senior is joking. How could there be such a thing as time reversal in this world? As for my son's divine ability." As Odaozi spoke, he lowered his voice, but intentionally stopped speaking. As if waiting for something. Li Fan's heart immediately sounded an alarm, binding insect. The target was not Odaozi, but his son. The child instantly lost control, but in his eyes, there was no panic. It was as if everything was within his expectations. Instead, he looked at Li Fan with a slight hint of mockery. At the same time, Tian Yang's body instantly swelled up, forming a black and red sphere, surrounding Li Fan in the center. Boom! A huge roar sounded as if colliding with something. Li Fan immediately felt a burst of dizziness, and cracks appeared on Tian Yang's puppet body. Fortunately, Lin Ling intervened in time, preventing it from being torn apart. What the hell was that? Li Fan cursed inwardly, glanced at the stillness panel, and saw that the protective energy level had not decreased. His heart instantly calmed down. The blue light of the transformation Dao stone flashed in his mind, slowing down the recorded scene countless times. Only then did he see clearly the culprit behind the changes that had just occurred. As well as everything that had happened in a flash of lightning. The attacker, who was so fast that Lin Ling and Tian Yang didn't even have time to react, was actually an arrow. Odaozi and his son seemed to have predicted its flight path long ago. Intentionally lingering in front, attracting Li Fan and others to the position of the trajectory. While delaying time, waiting for the moment when the arrow hit Li Fan. A yellow light emitted from Odaozi's son, seemingly ignoring the speed of the arrow, accurately locking onto it. Then, in that instant, the arrow, clearly not changing its direction of travel. Yet, it strangely flew back to its original position. The yellow light wrapped around Odaozi and his son, using the unimaginable speed of the arrow, and in an instant, they escaped Li Fan's encirclement. "Master, they're gone. They've run too far, and I can't sense their aura anymore," Lin Ling said with some self-blame. Tian Yang also shook his head, feeling somewhat guilty. Li Fan waved his hand, not taking it to heart. Replaying what had just happened again, Li Fan vaguely knew what the other party's divine ability was. Not the imagined time reversal. Or rather, it was somewhat related. Reversing the state of an object to a certain time before. Falling victim to a 7 or 8-year-old child, Li Fan was not surprised but delighted. Because this was the only cultivator he had seen since reincarnation who could be related to the Tao of time. "Run, can you run? You can escape for a while, but you can't escape forever. Once I've set my sights on you, there's no escaping." Li Fan's eyes flashed, and dozens of response ideas flashed through his mind in an instant. 840. The Immortal Alliance chases and intercepts. First, we need to figure out what's going on with that arrow. Not long after, having made a decision, Li Fan, through his clone Ji Shaoli's search and with the expenditure of considerable wealth, finally found the answer. Sky Patrol Arrow, one of the latest research achievements of the Myriad Immortals Alliance, created to counter the massive offensive of the Five Elders Council. Its speed is unimaginable. It can almost complete a patrol around the Myriad Immortals Alliance territory in just one day. And it will automatically lock onto suspicious targets, descending from the sky and causing devastating blows. Below the Dao integration realm, it can almost instantly kill. Even Dao integration cultivators, if unprepared, will be severely injured on the spot. Li Fan carefully read the Sky Patrol Arrow's information, his expression solemn. Most importantly, this thing can be mass-produced. It is speculated that there are currently at least 5 Sky Patrol Arrows constantly patrolling the Immortal Alliance's airspace. If it's wartime, I'm afraid dozens of arrows could be launched simultaneously, creating an absolutely dominant airspace environment. Li Fan couldn't help but frown. The power of this Sky Patrol Arrow is indeed a bit terrifying. If it weren't for Tian Yang and Lin Ling's protection this time, he would probably have died on the spot and returned to truth. Moreover, as a weapon of war, the Sky Patrol Arrow has a disclaimer. That is to say, if you are unlucky and happen to be in the flight path of the Sky Patrol Arrow, and it passes through you, resulting in your unfortunate demise, no one needs to be responsible for your death. You would have died for nothing. In that case, the Odaozi father and son have nothing to do with this Sky Patrol Arrow. They purely predicted the trajectory of the Sky Patrol arrow, wanting to kill someone with a borrowed knife and take the opportunity to escape. Li Fan nodded to himself. After understanding the general situation, Li Fan began his plan. The Odauzi father and son probably never imagined that Li Fan's revenge would come so quickly. And it would be so unreasonable. In just 3 days, a video spread throughout almost the entire Myriad Immortals Alliance. The incredible content in the video shocked countless cultivators in the Myriad Immortals Alliance, while also stirring up murderous intent and greed. That's right, Li Fan directly abandoned his plan to find the Odauzi father and son alone. Instead, he directly announced to the public that they possessed divine power and secret treasures. According to common sense, people are always greedy and selfish. When they know that the other party has that supreme treasure, they will definitely try every means to take it for themselves. They would secretly plan, and the fewer people who know, the better. Even if their ability is not enough, they would seek help. Or simply sell the secret for a good price. In short, this matter should only circulate within a small range. But Li Fan simply didn't play by the rules. Without the slightest hesitation or greed, he made this matter known to everyone in just a few days. From an outsider's perspective, Li Fan is really harming others without benefiting himself. There are so many cultivators in the world. Even if the secret of the Odauzi father and son changes hands, it will definitely have nothing to do with Li Fan. Just to vent his anger, he even gave up the opportunity to profit from it. It's really unwise and can be called a crazy act. In fact, if there was no return to truth, Li Fan would definitely not have done this. But since he has returned to truth, he is not in a hurry to get anything. This kid is indeed difficult to deal with, so let the Immortal Alliance cultivators explore the way for me to see if there are any good strategies to capture him. In the next life, I will imitate them. Li Fan's eyes flickered. And Li Fan's plan can be said to be quite effective. The ability to foresee the future and reverse time. As long as they have seen the abilities displayed by the Odauzi father and son in the video, no one will not be tempted and want to take it for themselves. For a time, a frenzy of searching for Odauzi was set off within the Myriad Immortals Alliance. Several families even offered heavy rewards. As long as they provide information on the whereabouts of the Odauzi father and son, there will be generous rewards, including top-level DAO integration cultivation methods. No matter how well you can run, the world is vast, but there is no place for you to hide. Li Fan, who personally created all of this, looked at the cultivators who were gradually going crazy, and snorted coldly in his heart, thinking of the somewhat mocking expression of Odauzi's son. When almost all the cultivators of the Myriad Immortals Alliance joined forces to do the same thing. How terrifying will the efficiency be? The process of exploring the White Mist and the Cave Heaven small world in the 115th life had already given the answer. Less than 5 days after the video was released, the Odauzi father and son, who were hiding in the deep forest, were found. Although they relied on strange methods to escape again by chance. But since they have already appeared, then under the watchful eyes and encirclement and suppression of the Immortal Alliance cultivators, they must be not far from being captured. To Li Fan's surprise, the father and son persisted longer than expected. And in this process, their abilities and information were slowly tested. Odauzi's son is named O Shangtian. Predicting the future and reversing the universe are all O Shangtian's personal abilities. It is currently inferred that it is very likely from O Shangtian's companion spirit object. And the so-called prediction of the future is also different from what was previously guessed. Not all future details can be predicted. It seems that only when life is under a major threat will O Shangtian have a sense. Simply put, he can foresee his countless ways of dying. So as to seek good fortune and avoid disaster, and find a way out. And reversing the universe is consistent with Li Fan's guess. It is not really able to reverse time, but only reverses the state of objects and energy to a certain time before. Moreover, in this process, he can form some kind of mysterious connection between himself and the object. For example, O Shangtian once reversed dozens of attacks launched at him. And he also mastered one of the abilities, and with a backhand, he wiped out the besieged cultivators and left triumphantly. However, the power to reverse the universe cannot be used without restriction. Each time it is released, O Shangtian has to rest for a period of time before he can continue to use it. After the truth came out, many cultivators were greatly disappointed and gave up the pursuit of O Shangtian. Indeed, although these two abilities are very strong, there are still many gaps compared to the imagined power of reversing time. However, a considerable number of cultivators are still continuing. After all, in the past, cultivators with this kind of talent were all absorbed by major forces and held respected positions. The opportunity to beat a drowning dog like now is very rare. Knowing Shangtian's specific abilities, the cultivators also cooperated very well in the subsequent pursuit. They didn't aim for a fatal blow when planning, only seeking to capture him alive, making Shangtian's predictive ability fail for the most part. Instead of attacking at the same time, they adopted a continuous wheel battle to consume the power of reversing the universe. Gradually, it became more and more difficult for Shangtian to escape. Finally, on the 10th day after the video was released, the father and son fell into a desperate situation.